You're watching the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
There he is. Rory McIlroy is your new and once again Players Champ as he gets it done in the 3-hole aggregate playoff at TPC Sawgrass just moments ago. It just wrapped up on the 18th hole, a little Monday golf. And we welcome back our golf analyst here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. It is Austen Lane. Say hello to
it's gonna be back.
The breakdown.
It's going to be back. How did my Norwegian do? I haven't checked at anything.
Oh, he's terrible.
Sure.
He's really in bad form. In fact, once you made that pick of Victor Hovland.
I thought there was another one. The other dude. Okay, yeah. Isn't there more than one Norwegian? Whatever.
He's like the best one.
We'll take the best one.
But he hadn't been playing well, so I was
Okay.
like, oh, I even told Hamby right after, I was like, that's not a good pick. He is like, his swing's like lost right now.
He finished in last.
We'll find it.
Did he finish last?
Last.
He finished last.
Of everybody.
Is there like any kind of bets you can make where your guy finishes last or not? Like plus whatever?
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It should be a little like, they used to call that the booby prize when you play.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a champ. We got Rory McIlroy. You like Rory McIlroy?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. I think he's good for the sport, right? He's a household name and
He's I really do like McIlroy. Like I even like yesterday after the round, right? They're going to a playoff. They're not playing the playoffs, and he, like they got NBC's like tracking him down and trying to find him. But just the way he hit, it's not like that he talked. I'm not trying to make this like over dramatic.
Yeah,
it's just the way he said. He's like, oh yeah, I got to do over here. Yeah, I'll go. It's not. A lot of times you run into these guys who are like rolling their eyes and all this stuff. He knows like what it is. He's very accommodating. And then another guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, okay, if I get 2 in first before you start like the media thing. He's like, even though he kind of knows it's like out of school, like you're not probably, okay, fine. He's not making a scene. He's just really good for the game. And I always think he's very transparent for the game. And given the whole situation the last couple of years in golf, he's been very good in that respect. And some people don't like him because when you're a star, some people don't like him. But I think he's really, really good for the game and so Americanized. You know, like he's one of these. He's like the Federers of the world, and those guys feel so Americanized to me. Like they're not. You got to double check that they are from somewhere else.
Sure.
And the reminder there for me is like the Ryder Cup, when then you have to root for against.
Or the accent. I feel like the accent kind of gives it away. Yeah, I mean, just a little bit. Like, where's Rory from? Listen to him talk. Probably not from this country.
Well, I do get that too.
Yeah, okay.
He's not talking on the golf course very often.
Sure, I got you.
He is terrific as a player. So he's off to a great start this year, by the way. 2-time Players Champ. Now won both his on St. Patrick's Day, ironically.
Nice.
2019 and now here in 25. Got our first playoff in a decade. We'll go out to TPC Sawgrass. Stuart Webb, Marcel Robinson, Olivia Tasley. They've done a great job this week for us with Action Sports Jacks. They're out there this morning. I mean, it's real. I couldn't believe how many people were out there. You knew this thing was going to be like 45 minutes to get up and go. Now, it is spring break for a lot of folks, so maybe that helped it out. But good tournament. One more note, by the way. The wind was nuts today. Like nuts. This is the win they thought they'd get Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. And if they did, you wonder how different the tournament would look for whoever. But we didn't get the wind that was nuts. We got the delay yesterday, but we didn't get it was windy. But this wind this morning was crazy wind. And it impacted, obviously, J.J. Spawn. I just told you guys, and I tweeted this, J.J. Spawn could not have played worse.
Yeah.
He didn't hit an average shot in the playoff. Like, it was brutal. You feel for a guy like that. Hey, other big news around the NFL. Derek Stingley Jr. just got paid. 3 years, $90 million. Apparently, $89 million guaranteed. If it's 3 years, $90 million, why don't we just make it all guaranteed?
That's what the Texans do, man. They love that guaranteed money.
What's the other $1 million?
Yeah.
Did I see that right, Hamby?
No, you're right.
What's the point? Like, what are we holding out? I want come on, Schefter, Rappaport, Pelissero, somebody, Schultz, fighting at Starbucks, whatever. Just fight and give me the reason why there's $1 million left on the table.
How much is that a year now? Just so I can see where he ranks in the highest paid.
Oh, $30 million. You just reset the market.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, totally.
J.C. Horn had reset it at $100.
Well, yeah, but he was making 25. Because I always go by year.
Yeah, so $25 million.
$25 million a year. Yeah, okay. So definitely reset the. I'm sure Jalen Ramsey's like, hey, I'm gonna have to have a back issue again. I'm only getting 24 a year.
He's got the same agent, so I was saying, David Mulligetta owns the Texans. He's the guy that had the Watson situation, right? And he sat him out. And they were playing that game, and then he got him out of there and all this stuff. But and by the way, Stingley's a really good player.
Oh, no, he's one of the top corners, obviously. Yeah.
Deserve to be one of the top corners.
And obviously the inflation, like the price is going to always go up. It's funny how some positions reset the market, and then some positions it's kind of like stagnant. And some positions just kind of falls. Like, hopefully not with Saquon. Like, maybe he reset the market again at running back.
Yeah, they did. They really helped the running backs as a whole.
Yeah.
Right? And so on top of that, we see, who was it? Oh, it was Myles Garrett that got the $40 million.
Correct.
And now Jamar Chase just outdid that, right, with the receiver market. And Higgins signs. I mean, they got both those deals done in a day. Over the course of a week, but they got them done.
Did you see, too, speaking of the Texans, that they restructured Christian Kirk's contract, which I was afraid of?
I did see that.
Yeah. I was going to put it out there on the internet, but unfortunately, when we were talking about it, there was a giant Mitch Morse video the entire time we were breaking it down. So I think I don't want to confuse people.
We were talking about that. What's the read into why he would restructure there but not here?
It's a great question. I have no idea. Because my big argument is, why would you restructure someplace that essentially, you're there for a season? Like, he has one more year left on his deal. So it's not like Stephon Diggs, where it's like, okay, you went there and maybe you're trying to prove yourself even more and get like a bigger contract. Unfortunately, he tears his ACL and now he's not making as much money, because I think he had a 3-year deal left when he went to Houston, restructured it. Diggs had a 1-year prove-it deal. With Christian Kirk, I didn't get it because it's 1 year regardless. So I guess maybe you just take the money up front and you're happy with it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not either. By the way, today, back to the Stingley deal, we will have Tyson Campbell conversation. Daniel Griffiths and Paint the Player writes about that today on actionsportshacks.com. The bottom line is that might be the benefit of getting that deal done early. Like we questioned that with Josh Hines-Allen. Why didn't you get it done early? The longer you wait, the more you pay, just as the Cincinnati Bengals, like on every deal they do, or the Dallas Cowboys on every deal they do. I don't know where Tyson is in the landscape of great players. we don't put him in that conversation. We actually wondered, did he get overpaid at the time? But I guess this is where the benefit comes in. When you got a guy that's sitting there at whatever he's making, 18, 19, 20 million a year, and at least it's further down the ladder for a guy like Tyson. Yeah,
I mean, now with Stingley Jr. getting paid, Tyson Campbell moves out of the top 10 spot of highest paid cornerbacks. So like in the grand scheme of things, I mean, I think he's at number 11 or 12 now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, would you pay, the 12th highest salary to Tyson Campbell in the NFL? I mean, he still has to, be on the field the whole time and prove himself, but that contract looks a lot better now over these last couple contracts where these guys have, obviously with guys like J.C. Horn now and obviously Stingley Jr., I mean, they're resetting the market.
Let's look at this in two different ways, okay, with those situations, the big deals of the last 24 hours. Chase and Higgins, and then also Stingley. I think it's interesting because not only what the Jags have, okay, you could say Tyson Campbell, now he's, 10th, 11th. Okay, that seems more reasonable. We got to get our mind wrapped around the numbers that are in the game now, right? It's like I always equate this to the 4.50 ERA pitcher, like back in the steroid era, that was getting crazy money, and it's like, well, they can throw the ball, that's part of it. The NBA guy now that averages 12 a game and gets like $22 million a year, you got to put your arms around these numbers. Just because you're getting paid now $20 million, I think 2 years ago, or even 18 months ago, or 12 months ago, if you got paid $20 million a year, you had to be a great player. I'm not sure that's the case anymore, is my point. I don't know if great goes along with $20 million in today's dollars in the NFL. But the Jags potentially need another corner. Potentially. We'll see with the Jarian Jones stuff and everything else. But there are two really good corners in Houston. Like, we know it. The Jags don't know they have two really, really good corners here. The other side of it is they've got two really good receivers in Cincinnati now with Chase and Higgins, and they're keeping those guys. The Jags think they have a real find in Brian Thomas Jr. How will that impact his dollars someday down the road in a couple of seasons? But does that entice them to go get another top flight wide receiver in the draft with that 5th overall pick when you've got Hunter and McMillan sitting there? Yeah. Does it influence you in your division with Houston or in the AFC with Cincinnati, what they're doing for Joe Burrow, on how you maybe approach this draft in those particular positions? We'll leave out defensive tackle for now.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about it, right? You can't let other teams influence your decision of what's best for your team. Right now, I think if you look at the Bengals, it does make some sense, right? Because Tee Higgins does make, he means a lot to that city, means a lot to that organization. Can you justify paying those wide receivers that much money? I mean, best luck to your defense. It's going to help Joe Burrow out. It's going to give Joe Burrow confidence, and I get all of that, and that's going to make him still a top 5 quarterback going forward. But on your defensive side of the ball, it's going to hurt. So then I guess this kind of begs the question. And we've heard the rumor, we'll talk about it a little bit, but Travon Walker, right? Supposedly the Jaguars taking on trade offers. Guess what? I'm sure anybody, anytime, any place would take on trade offers. They'll listen. Maybe they'll listen in Kansas City. Yeah, we'll hear, but what do I get for Patrick Mahomes? Doesn't mean they're going to do it, right? They're making it sound like, oh, yeah, the Jaguars want to move around from Travon Walker and get some cap. No. Come on. What are we talking about here? So, assuming that Trayvon Walker stays in Jacksonville and he has another solid year, maybe even a Pro Bowl, All-Pro type year, what would you rather pay? Would you rather pay 2 bookends, or would you rather pay 2 wide receivers? Because here's the thing. I think a couple years ago,
both.
I know both. I would have said bookends. I would have said, look at what they did, in New York and things with the Giants,
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
But now the more I see how the game is shifting and how important wide receivers are and how important the quarterback is to having that confidence, I may almost lean wide receivers now.
It's I don't think I do. Okay. I don't think I lean wide receivers in that conversation. My mind goes in a lot of different directions. So let me knock them off my list here in a row. One is, we used to do this study about the receiver. It doesn't matter if you have a great receiver, they don't usually make it to the Super Bowl. That started to change with Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. It changed a little bit with Jamar Chase, actually, and even Higgins, if you wanted to put him in that great receiver category then, I'm not so sure. You even go to now an A.J. Brown and other things. So now you've got receivers that are big-time receivers and now going to Super Bowls and winning big. But there was a real stretch there where it was went back and it was okay, well, you can be great. You can be Julio Jones, but you're not winning Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that part. But that has shifted. I'll acknowledge that. I think that's shifted. There's another part where it's the Jags, in my opinion, what I've been boasting about their roster is they have 2 guys that are in their prime or on their way to their prime or young at those edge positions where not a lot of people have that. Even if you do look in the division at Houston, you got a Danielle Hunter who's 31 years old, coupled with Will Anderson. So it's not like you've got guys for the next 5 years. Sure. So you have something that not a lot of people have in the National Football League, a tandem in that pass rush area. Meanwhile, on the receiving end, we can start to go up and down the list. And something we might do today is, all right, you got Chase and Higgins. Mm-hmm. You've got, where did Metcalf just get? Metcalf and Pickens.
Yeah, I
mean, you had Metcalf and Lockett and Jackson,
Waddle and Hill.
You got Waddle and Hill. You've got these things where other people have them too. Now, Addison and Jefferson. So does that mean you have to keep up, or do you want something that nobody else has? And then my last part of it, and I think probably the biggest point, which kind of goes back to the winning ways. Did the Philadelphia Eagles win this year because they had great front on defense, a great front, or did they win because they had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? And I'm not really sure sure, you could say it's a mix of both, but it's really a lean on the front. Now, they don't have necessarily 2 edge guys, but they won because they dominated up front against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
And they pass rush with 4. So it's their whole front, right? They're very good all the way through it. But they won because of their defensive front and their offensive line. They did not win because of Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, in my opinion. That's not why they are a great football team right now.
Okay, and I agree with that. But then I look at, and this isn't the best narrative, but it's a comparison because when they brought these 2 guys in, they're still I don't want to say in their primes, but they're still very respected edge rushers. Look at the Chargers and Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. I think you look at those 2 guys and it's okay, these guys are are dominant.
Yeah.
They're elite pass rushers. Any team would love to have either one of them, on their defensive line. Well, they had both those guys. And what do the Chargers do?
Yeah. Stay healthy a lot of it.
Well, yeah, staying healthy is a part, but even when they were healthy, they didn't take the Chargers above and beyond.
Now, it's good. I mean, answer your own question. I mean, do you think you'd rather have the two top flight receivers?
Austin would.
See, I would say that top flight receivers might be easier to come by, especially in the draft, right? I think you could draft a guy top 5, top 6, and you'd have over 1,000 yards easily, have an immediate impact. That might still be the same on the edge, but I'm not sure. If you could draft an edge in the first round, immediately he's a top 10 edge guy. You know what I'm saying? I think it takes a little more time to ingrain yourself. I think you can draft a guy in the top 10 and have a top 10 wide receiver than that year. So I think the edge is a little more hard to come by, Brent. But also, I just feel like this is such an offensive-driven league. It's such a pass-happy league, even though we've seen a return to the running game a little bit. I almost lean towards the two great wide receivers.
Well, here's the beauty of it for the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. In my opinion, they can have both.
Yeah.
They really can. First of all, you can't have both. You can do whatever the hell you want with a cap, it feels like. But at this stage, the way they have it going, at least for the next couple of years, you can have both. You have Josh Hines-Allen. You can pay right now, if you want to, Trayvon Walker this year. He's eligible. So you could pay him. And by the way, I think you'd get it wouldn't be $40 million a year, right? So we've talked about this. You could pay him. So you have those two guys at 24 and 26 years old or something like that. And then the beauty is right now with this Trevor contract, you have a young receiver who looks like a stud. And if you go find another one, you've got those guys on rookie deals. So you can actually, the way you can lay this out, I think you could have both. You could have all of it. Mm-hmm. You really could. I mean, I started, you were away, but I started to get last week more and more just, I don't know about locked in, but talk myself into receiver makes a lot of sense right now for the Jags at number 5. I really feel like it makes a lot of sense because I think that's the most impact coming off free agency. I mean, if you look at what they have, and this is what I did with Hamby last week, and I'll do the same with you, but Jags have Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown,
mm-hmm.
Gabe Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And they were thinking about, let's just say they were thinking about adding Cooper Kupp. Right? And so that was your 4 or something. You get a veteran guy, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Or if you want to replace Kupp with a second and third down receiver, go ahead. Or you could have Brian Thomas Jr., Gabe Davis, De'Ami Brown, and Ted McMillan or Travis Hunter. It just feels so much louder. You know what I mean? It feels, even with a Cooper Kupp name, I was way more intrigued by the young hotshot receiver coming off what young hotshot receivers have done and their instant impact. Yep. And also coupling that young receiver who's, if they're really good, you got to pick the right one, right? And they got to be really good if they're worthy of the 5th overall pick. But with Brian Thomas Jr. for the next few years on a young deal, on a rookie deal, that is very advantageous with not a lot of money now going to your receivers while your quarterback is on a big deal. I just think it makes a lot of sense. Whereas, let's just say the Mason Graham stuff where everybody kind of is in line with as well. And I get it. I'm not hating on the Mason Graham stuff. But you really, how much is Mason Graham going to play over Eric Armstead or Mason Smith immediately? Mm-hmm. He'll get in the rotation. But how much do we even know he can beat those two guys out at this stage?
So, yeah, I mean, it's a legitimate question, right? Because we assume that hopefully Eric Armstead can take a step forward now, right?
That's an assumption.
It's an assumption for sure. He's another year older, but you would hope that it looks drastically better than it did last season. I think it was 3 weeks ago, Brent, we talked about how, the Eagles and their defensive line. And we were surprised by their lack of sack production, right?
Sure, yeah.
And then it's interesting. I just looked this up right now. So, if you look at, the top sack getters, so you got Trey Hendrickson, obviously 17.5. Myles Garrett. Nick Bonito was 3rd. Don't you know who he played for? He plays for Denver Broncos, by the way. Kyle Van Noy, Daniel Hunter, Jonathan Grenard. And then, surprisingly, the Broncos had 2 guys that had over 10 sacks, Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito. Well, how do they do? Like, did they make a giant run? I mean, they made it to the playoffs, and it was surprising, obviously, because nobody really, except Brent Martineau, picked the Broncos, I think, to do anything this past season. But my point is that you have guys like T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons, Leonard Williams had, and he's more in the middle, obviously. But my point is, I think sometimes we get so slept on. We got to have the edge. You got to have the edge. You got to have the edge. But the interior, guys like Chris Jones. Guys like, you had the Rams, you had Aaron Donald, one of the best to ever do it. That might make all the difference in the world. So I think it comes down to, if you think you can get a Chris Jones type, Aaron Donald's like one of one. He's a unicorn. But if you can get something in the realm of an Aaron Donald with, your pick in the first round, I almost say you lean towards that more, Brent. Right? I almost say you lean towards that more than even a wide receiver, because that could be the difference right there. Like, yeah, we get caught up in numbers. We get caught up in quarterback sacks and pressures and all this stuff on the edge. And the Jaguars lucky enough to have two of those guys right now that are pretty high caliber. But the difference is who's the guy in the middle. And they haven't had that, I feel like, since Calais Campbell.
Yeah, I'm fine, by the way, with Mason Graham. I really am. Like, that's cool. Like, this is where you go BPA. You're, okay, which guy is the better player? And Hamby's burner brings up a good one. Do you think that the impact a wide receiver at 5 would have more impact than one at the 36 pick? Do you think a DL at 36 can produce like a DL taken at 5? I don't think either one is supposed to produce like the guy taken at 5. I don't know if that will play out that way, but I think that we know that this happens all the time. I mean, you can go find me an early second-round pick that played better than a first-round pick. I'll give you Brian Thomas Jr. that played better than those guys that were taken in the top 10 at receiver, right? So I don't know that answer. You have to figure that out. Not you, but that's their job. Their job is to figure that out and pick the right guy. So I don't think I get what you're saying, and I understand the depth at receiver is more, but what we're asking is, do you want two studs? So do you find Jamar Chase and Tee Higgins when you're picking in the second round? If you can, go get it.
Yeah.
But that's what we're saying. You have Brian Thomas Jr., which right now is our Jamar Chase. So can you go find that stud guy right next to him at 5, because this is the draft to do it with Travis Hunter and Ted McMillan? If it is, again, I'm not sitting here saying it is. I just think right now their bigger impact point right now, as this roster is built coming off free agency, and it doesn't look like they're doing much else, is at that wide receiver spot, right? I mean,
sure. That's
the one where you can really make an impact, because they got a bunch of unknown. De'Ami Brown and Gabe Davis is like, yeah, we hope. We hope. But we don't know.
No,
so, like, they have left that spot open for somebody to produce.
No, without a doubt. Like, obviously you feel confident with Brian Thomas Jr. right now, but you have a 1A, but do you really have a 1B? No, it seems like you have more of a 2A and a 2B. So I agree with you here.
Maybe a 2B and a 2C.
Well, there you go. But
or 3. Seriously, I mean, listen, I don't hate on these guys as much as everybody else. But Gabe Davis, what is he? I mean, De'Ami Brown he's 1 year, $10 million. He had a great month.
But to address Hamby's burner's comment there, if you draft a wide receiver at number 5, you're not asking him to be a 1. You're really not. Like, yeah, I mean, you want him to be a 1B, sure. But, like, you're drafting him to be the 2, because we have a 1 in Brian Thomas Jr. So if you look at the defensive line, the interior more specifically, you're drafting that guy to be the guy. Like, with all due respect to Eric Armstead, with all due respect to Mason, whoever they're going to throw in the middle, or Devon Hamilton, whoever they draft at number 5, if it is interior defensive line, he has to be the stud. Like, he has to be the difference maker. That's why you would draft him there. It's not the same at wide receiver. Yeah, it would look great on paper. It would be Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase, possibly. But what do you need more? And I think you need more of a difference maker right now. And maybe it ain't the sexiest thing, right? Like, it's still interior defensive line, so it's sexy, but it ain't a wide receiver, right? It ain't Travis Hunter. It ain't McMillan. It's not the sexiest thing, but I feel like it's what you need, Brent. Sometimes you don't need the prettiest girl in the bar. Sometimes you need the girl that's going to, take care of you, make a great meal, and look after you. Sometimes. It's 2025,
I don't know which one you're marrying in a couple of months, Hamby, but good luck to you.
That's like it.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Yeah, good. Yeah, pivot. Good
Anyways, receiver or D line, I think some of it is you think about the plays that you want made that weren't last year, like the specific type of plays that you need made. If you're thinking about receiver, you think about the deep ball or this or that. Defensive lineman, you think about the run stuff. You think about the pressure think about the third down sack when Josh Hines Allen or Trayvon push the quarterback up into the pocket and that guy's there. I think there are, I think there are more plays that they haven't had that the defensive linemen would have to make. Because beat all of the plays that you want made by your receiver, you already have somebody making those. Brian Thomas Jr. can make all of those plays that are winning football plays. That's a weird way to think about it, but I think that's potentially how they could look at it. Like, Brian Thomas Jr. makes the plays that they would want the receiver to make to win football games. They don't have a defensive lineman that is currently making those plays or they think will make those plays, the big plays, the impact plays. Mason Graham would have to be the guy to do that.
Well, and then so the question is, guys, really, again, this is why you're in a situation where I think the Jags are in a situation where you can take the best player available. And you ask which guy's going to do that. Just because Mason Graham's a big name doesn't mean he's going to project the way some people think. What do the GMs think? What does this regime think? Same with Hunter and same with McMillan. We know these aren't locks. But if you take those three guys in particular, who's the one that projects and is like a slam dunk to be the guy for the next 5 to 10 years, right? And they have flexibility in doing that. They don't need to take Mason Graham right now just to say we need him. They don't need to take Hunter or McMillan just to say, okay, we need a spot. They could go the second round in that respect and probably find a nice complementary piece. I'm cool with that too. So, but this is where we talk about it. They get paid to do it and they got to be right. That's what is in front of them, that they have to be right. But I do think there are two really strong options at wide receiver. And I think the way this is set up right now, this for the immediate, and I don't think this always is for the immediate. This really is a projection for 3, 4, 5 years. This has receiver squarely in play, in my opinion, here in Jacksonville. I mean, like right in the middle of things based on what they have on their current roster. And it is still all about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you want to do what's best for him and these guys are offensive guys. As much as they want to really beef up the trenches, this still screams offensive player early. So, I mean, you're really looking at three players probably in the first 3 picks in some capacity, in my estimation: receiver, defensive tackle, corner. That's probably where you're going in the first 3 picks.
And then you got to go line.
Now, unless something falls to them where you could be like, well, you could be tight end or even safety in some respects, right? That depend on how the board falls in that second and third round or whatever else. But this really screams that they want those 3 positions pretty early on to help impact them right now in this year. All right, so the Walter Camp thing, and I don't really follow along. Like, I don't know how good that report is usually, but this is just a sign today of kind of how we do things, right? Like it's. I'll go find it because I tweeted about it. I know it. But, I mean, these wishy-wash reports of, this could happen, this might happen, this like...
One to watch, everybody. One to watch.
I mean, I might have a good day. I might have a bad day. I mean, just stop, man. Like, this is... While sources in Jacksonville view Walker, meaning Trayvon Walker, as a long-term piece of the roster. Okay? Stop. Sources in Jacksonville view him as a long-term piece of the roster.
Breaking.
Sources with the Jaguars say they would listen and consider offers for their young defensive lineman. Like, which one is it, man? Like, come on. Like, what is this? This is reporting?
It's cloud chasing, man. Which is reporting now.
And he got it. He got the cloud chasing.
Of course.
But yeah,
we're talking about it.
It's here's the deal, guys. I just tweeted it. I'll say it. I said it 2 weeks ago or last week. Pay Trayvon Walker now is the way to go. He's an ascending player, in my opinion. You get him at the better price. That's even before the Myles Garrett deal was done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Trayvon Walker is a double-digit sack guy. He's only one of like 5 or 6 guys in Jags history to do that twice. They have not been able to find these guys in the history of their organization very often. They've got 2 of them right now. You signed this guy, he's 24 years old, and he's really a cornerstone piece of your organization. So, I mean, he's not going anywhere, is my point. Like, you're not trying to win and you get rid of a guy like this. Like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
He's a very good football player for you. This isn't a bust at number one. This isn't go fix Trent Baalke's problem. Like, you don't need to do that here. That'd be overthinking it. Mm-hmm. I think they got to pay him. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think this is a stupid-ass report, quite frankly. I mean, it's just, but hey, it gives us a little something to talk about.
Listen, I woke up Sunday morning, okay, and I was like, man, I just had the wildest dream. Okay, so when did this report come out, Brent?
Came out 18 hours ago, so what would that be, about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon,
okay.
4 o'clock yesterday
afternoon? So I woke
afternoon?
up Sunday morning before this, and I was like, what in the world? Why? So I in the dream, I checked Twitter, and I saw Trayvon Walker is being traded to the Boston Red Sox.
Dude's dreaming about Twitter, though, man. Do you think you got a problem if you're dreaming about Twitter?
Yeah, I've probably done it.
Brent's done it before,
and like everybody had I was like in the dream. I had woken up, and it was like 3 hours ago. This news, and everybody had commented on it or whatever, and I was late, right, to the news. I was behind. But yeah, Trayvon Walker to the Red Sox, and I was like, golly. So then when I woke up, I actually checked my Twitter just to make sure that there was nothing, because that would be insane. And there was nothing. And then later on in the day, I get the notification, Trayvon Walker something, I don't even know what it said, but it included the words Trayvon Walker and trade. And I was like, what in the world is going on? Are the Red Sox in on this? And I don't know. It was insane. I just thought I would share. Thank you for listening.
Man.
What do you think about Trayvon? I mean, this is, like you said, you can always listen. I mean, why not? If they want to throw
I'm giving a listen in here.
You can always listen, but that's why these things are so stupid. Like, you can say whatever you want to say. Like,
correct.
I could sit here and tell you today, like, any stupid, dumb, blanket, non-specific thing that could happen. I mean, that's where we are today. Like, it's just so dumb, but they like this guy. This guy's a part of it.
Yeah.
This would be the dumbest thing ever, to forget about listening, but to act like you got to keep what you have that's better than other teams.
So first of all, if you were to trade Trayvon Walker right now on his rookie deal, that would be the most idiotic thing ever. Okay, so let's just establish that real quick. Teams are always willing to listen, right? Maybe the Jaguars listened to the Pittsburgh Steelers when they called out Trevor Lawrence. Didn't mean they were all about it, saying, whoa, no. Like, it's nothing. You throw it on a wall, you get your clout, you get your clicks, congratulations. Like, this is all it is. There's no warrant behind it. There's nothing behind it. Like, it makes zero sense to me. And I agree with you, Brent. I think the quicker that you can trade him, the quicker that you can sign. See, now it's in my brain. The quicker that you can re-sign him, the better, because regardless of how you envision him in this new scheme, I think he is versatile. And you know how I feel about it. Keep it on the edge, right? Like, let's not move him inside and all this stuff. But he is versatile. And his size and his strength and his speed, it shows that. So you can really put him wherever you want on any single defense, and you're going to have success. So I would pay him sooner rather than later, because eventually that price is going to drastically go up, because we've seen with Myles Garrett and everybody, there is inflation with the edge rush position. Or maybe they move him inside. Maybe like they try to screw him over and be like, oh, hey, have fun playing inside, Trayvon, with 6 sacks this season.
Well, okay, so here's like the goofiest thing to do is you move him to 3 technique and you draft Abdul Carter.
I mean,
is he better than Mason Graham on the inside?
Here's the thing.
By the way, I'm not reporting that.
No, you're not reporting
I don't have
it.
sources that suggest they might move him inside, but they might keep him outside.
Yeah,
those are my sources.
I mean,
they're willing to have the conversation.
I think it's safe to say that Abdul Carter is probably the best player in the draft.
A lot of people feel that way, even with the injury stuff. They
I know.
feel
Well,
that
even
way.
with the injury thing, he was dominant.
But listen, I think this is becoming, and am I okay with this? I'm not telling you I know that. I'm not feeling like Abdul Qadir, but boy, you're seeing it. You're seeing the group think part of this really show up. And when it comes off the combine, I think there's some credence to that because that's where a lot of people get their info. And so that's where GMs and sources and everybody else really do start talking about Carter being the top guy, and there's just some separation there. Well, if that's the case, there's no way he's probably making it to 5 anyway. But that really brings up a whole different kind of situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, the Trayvon Walker stuff is great for a Sunday afternoon, but people should really take more Sunday afternoons off if they're going to report that. We'll see what comes up next. But I will say this, Trayvon has been a topic on the show a couple of times now over the last few weeks, and that is because even before this stuff, even before Myles Garrett, it's like this is the time to pay a guy. This guy is an ascending player at 24. He's a damn good football player. And you don't have a lot of those in Jacksonville. That's the moral of the story. You don't go get rid of those guys. You go keep those guys. That's been like, which one is it going to be? The tenet of this organization, even it doesn't matter if some of these things now have different regimes to it. Shad Khan has been a part of this. Tony Khan has been a part of this. Other people in the organization have been a part of this, and one of the tenets is you've got to draft, you've got to develop, you've got to keep. Well, you drafted, you're developing, you keep Trayvon Walker. You don't that's not an unhappy player. That's not a guy that's injured, knock on wood. Like, there's no reason to get rid of a player like that.
And some would say he's still ascending, right? He had 10.5 sacks
I would think
last
the trend
season.
says so.
And then 2 years ago, he had 10 sacks. So you take back-to-back over 10 sacks or 10 or plus sack seasons, and you're still kind of coming into your own, you're still kind of learning. Because keep in mind, this is a guy who came out of college who played everything. So it's not like he was just ingrained to play edge. It wasn't like he was just ingrained to rush the pass from the outside. He had to learn it, right? And you saw that his first year, he had 3.5 sacks, right? It took a little time to acclimate. So 3.5, 10, 10.5. I want to see what he can do next. I don't want him to go someplace else.
Well, two things. I'll give you two more reasons. And one thing that I've really been stuck on with Trayvon is if they were any good last year, like had the lead, he would have had 13 sacks. So his trend would be like 3.5 to 10.5 to 13.5, something like that. So that's where he really should be. He played probably to that level to be able to get up there. I don't think these were like patty cake sacks anywhere, right? These weren't easy things. He earned his sacks, and he never had a chance to play with the lead and force teams into potentially more sacks because they lost so many damn close games. So we didn't see that part of it. I'll give you one other thing. Now, Josh Hines-Allen is on a big deal right now, but sooner or later, that deal is going to become flexible. You have the opportunity to move on, and I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm biased. I love Josh. But let's just say it's 2 or 3 years down the road. Well, you might then move on based on, heck, by that time they might be making $80 million a year.
Yeah.
And then you've got Trayvon, you've still got one. You've still got your guy, and then you go draft the other guy. Like, that's how this works. Sooner or later, you're going to have to make those decisions. But you've got two guys to be able to play that chess game a little bit that will carry over and overlap over a period of time. That is very advantageous right now. Not a lot of folks around the National Football League have that. That's why they ain't getting rid of it.
Yeah. And what it's going to come down to, though, is can you sustain paying 2 edge rushers that much money, Brent? And that's what it'll come down to. You know what I mean? Right now, if you pull the trigger, you get a discount. If you let Trayvon Walker try to do his thing this year again, it's going to come with a lot more. So, well, once again, it's just going to come down to how much are you willing to pay? You know?
What does Elijah do for a living?
What? Elijah cooks?
No, this guy in the chat.
He's back at it again.
I mean, he's gone from Trevor to now Trayvon. I get it. What are you doing? Like, why are you wasting your time here? I can't believe you spend all your time here to comment. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, how bored are you?
I thought we were at Elijah Cooks for a second. I'm like, wow, that's a segue.
I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, you don't have to keep saying it in the chat. Is it a bot?
No, he's a real guy.
My bad. What you saying? Josh is trash?
He's usually Trevor's trash, okay. Josh is trash. But it's like, I get it.
Okay, so he's a hater. Got it.
I'm going to have to block him.
No, man, let him go.
Well, if he's going to take up all the comments, I don't want to just read it 4 times in the thing. I want to see somebody else's.
Well, Or you just don't address it and we just move on with our lives. One of those two.
Well, you think I gave him what he wanted?
I would probably say so. Yeah. That's his job, getting the responses, getting a rise out of Brent Martineau.
Well, we can easily stop it too.
Well, don't, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
More comments in the chat, the better, man. It helps the algorithms and everything.
I guess so.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Rory McIlroy wins at the Players' Championships. We'll check in there, by the way. Action Sports Jack's crew is there. Hey, what about the NCAA tournament? Haven't got to that yet. The Gators win the SEC. They are a
dominant,
sexy favorite to win the whole thing, and they should be, by the way. Hamby just got mad already, but he's like, we'll see how many Gator homers there are in our bracket challenge. Gator homers are all over the country,
it's the
man.
country, man.
They're the best team in the country. They look like the best team in the country to me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not a Gator.
I was watching that Big Ten championship. I'm like, man, whoever wins this game is going to get crushed by the Gators.
Gators look really, really good. What are the chances they win it all? We'll give you a little bit of a roadmap and check out the bracket. Don't forget our bracket challenge, Hamby. We're going to put that in the feed so we can get everybody involved. Sign up. We'll give away prizes. You get in now. Let's go. Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament, but this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Action Sports Jacks is the biggest brand in Jacksonville, and we're excited to add another partnership for this team's biggest season yet.
Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is now the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks for their 15th season.
The Jacksonville Sharks are your champions.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
All right, so there she is, the bracket for the 2025 NCAA tournament. Gets going really Tuesday and Wednesday in the first four. I still can't really get into that part. We really get going on Thursday. By the way, we'll be at String Sports Brewery on Friday. The Gators play Friday. We'll be there to kind of kick everything off on the second day of the tournament. Game starting right around noon, so come join us. That one in Jacks Beach. We'll actually be at Strings the next couple weeks on a Friday this week, Thursday the following week. But we're going Jacksonville and then Springfield. So Jacks Beach this Friday, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. Get you set for the Gators game, who they play on a Friday at like 6:50 or so. And against Norfolk State, obviously. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But the whole day, which is really the fun part as well, we'll be ready for. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane and Jason Hamby. And Hamby just put the link in for the March Madness bracket. Obviously, we get them in by... well, game time on Thursday, and we'll have some prizes along the way. Hamby's doing this, so I have no idea if it's going to be right.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I don't know.
What about it?
He's gonna have like the
really
he's gonna have like the NIT tournament or something instead of
bro,
something like that.
I actually kind of wonder. I was like, is the NIT still going? It is, 32 teams. Yeah. Then they have the College Basketball Invitational one. JU's actually going to play in that. But I think I saw something where they invite 16 teams, but only 12 accepted. So it's only a 12-team bracket this year at the CBI. Now, listen, I'm okay. I get the idea of these things. I think it's a little interesting to raise the banner if you're playing in the third tier, like postseason, but people will spin it that way, whatever. But it gets your group a little bit more if you want to play a little bit more practice time, a little bit more in a game setting. What the heck? I mean, you only get so many games, and I'm cool with it. It's just I think it's interesting that some people say no to it, and then for JU it's easy. I think they're playing right down in Daytona, so it's not like a lot of travel to it and everything else.
Let me ask you this though: like if you get an NIT invite, or what was the other one you said? The
CBI.
The CBI invite. Like, if you're a head coach, are you a little leery of doing that? Just because what happens if like one of your players absolutely balls out and shines in the tournament?
That's a good call.
Then we'll say, hey, we'll see you later. And then like obviously NIL and everything, the transfer portal. Like, I'd be afraid of losing players.
That's actually a good call. Like I've heard this I've heard this from several people. Let's just talk baseball for a minute. In summer ball, that a lot of I don't know about a lot. I've heard some coaches say that they're hesitant to put their kids into summer ball wherever it is because they're afraid they'll get picked up.
Yeah.
So, like, you're right. You showcase your guys more. That gives them more eyeballs and ammunition. Now, most of the time, they're going to find them anyway. Like if they're going to pick them off.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. I think there is definitely a thought about that. Like, where do you hide your players? It kind of reminds me of like Ty. Like Ty was so little, and so we'd go to like these showcase things or whatever else, and we would never sign up for the showcase thing because I'm like, I don't want anybody to see him.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, they'll cross him off the list. He weighs like 68 pounds. Like, why would I try to put him out there in like a how fast, big, strong you are kind of thing?
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to see him. I hope there's not a coach here yet.
Yeah. But imagine like being a coach and like all of a sudden like what obviously like you're a Cinderella team, like I don't know, Give me one of them. Who's the team? St. Joe's the team that's like has the losing record that got into it? Or what team is that? No.
I don't even know.
I think it's one of the Saint. There's one team that is like has a losing record that got in.
That got in because they won the tournament.
Like imagine like you're that team and all of a sudden you have a player in the first like the opening round drop like 35 points. It's like, oh dude, I'm pulling you right now. Like because too many eyes are on you.
True,
go ahead and ride some pine. I want to see you next year here.
I think it's a very real thing.
Sad.
Back to our Brent Austen Show bracket challenge. Again,
15 entries so far.
How many?
15.
Oh,
Dang,
wow, already?
getting started.
Golly, that's good. I haven't even signed up. Well, that means it somewhat works because here's what threw me for a loop and questioned me on Hamby. Because when I opened it, this is what happens. Now, it says join group.
Okay.
Brent Austen Show.
Yep.
Bracket, blah, blah, blah.
Takes you to the Georgia Bulldog website.
Bracket that. And the thing below says this. ESPN fan 778-594-43602 apostrophe S picks 1. I'm like, what the hell does all that mean?
That's a lot.
Do we have to have somebody know that information?
That's a mouthful.
That just means...
Or is that your phone number?
No, that just means that somebody who's not logged in created a bracket and they didn't change their username.
Oh,
so I went
that's
in, hit the settings button, deleted all that, and just put Hamby.
Gotcha.
So, by the way, for those that have already entered those 15, half of those are non-edited usernames. Please edit it so that if you win, we can actually know who you are and get you your prize.
Good point.
Make it your Twitter handle or your real name. If you haven't entered yet and you plan on, please edit your username.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky, right? Because we don't. We can just say, who is this? Well,
right.
5 people be like, oh, yeah, that's me.
That's me. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of do need to know.
Need a proof of purchase.
Yeah, a little bit of proof. We trust you, though. We trust you. And Hamby says, a chance to win coveted prize. Hamby, I have no idea what the hell that coveted prize is yet, so I don't know what you're
What did you sign up for, Hamby?
Well, that's why I didn't know what to say.
That's a good point.
I couldn't say. I didn't want to put details later because that means, we might not be getting
a little asterisk next to it.
But I have a high level of confidence that whatever we pick will be coveted by somebody. Maybe not the person that wins, but
I'm working on some things though. We'll try to make a nice prize pack. I believe in good prize packs. Now we just got to get them. I still have to mail the envelope game prizes out. We'll do that. But no, I think this one, what we'll do for the March Madness thing is really kind of like put a little like prize basket together. Almost. Yeah. So we'll.
John Barnes is already in.
Anything that I don't want, I just put in.
Isn't he the Tennessee guy?
Brent's getting like old Christmas gifts that he didn't want to use and just threw them in the NCAA tournament prize pack.
I do have a lot of old Dream 18 stuff.
There we go.
2022 Dream 18 hat. It's yours. By the way, they're nice hats.
Yeah, they call that vintage, Brent.
They're nice hats.
Vintage.
So you will definitely get them, I think.
Also, 2 heads up, we're going to be asking for Shock Your Mock, I think, this week as well. So
that's like a big deal today on the show.
Yeah.
Not just on the show, but after. We're having a little meeting about it.
We're going to have a little meeting about how we're going to do Shock Your Mock. So get your mock drafts ready and get them some, just, put them on Twitter. Are we going to have some, just put them on Twitter, Brent? The usual, you think?
Well, we're going to meet about that.
Okay, we'll meet about it. Well, this is supposed to be the week that we're asking for.
Is that what we do? Is that what we usually do?
Yeah, I think you just put them on Twitter, put them in the DMs on Instagram, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Just, if we see them, we see them.
We got to find it. You got to get them to us.
Yeah, I mean, if you see us in public and you have something on paper, just hand us the paper.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know what Austin's thinking here. We've done different renditions of this thing, so I don't know where we're leaning.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna be a little less AI than it was last year.
Less?
I don't trust AI. Yeah, we'll see. Unless they updated it.
Back again, Mick check.
$5 down the drain.
Mick check. Mick check.
Double deck, Jaguars on the proud. Rap time, picker jam. Scouting the field.
Hey,
I love this so much.
I just thought of something. We should give away, whoever wins, Shock Your Mock, should get, an invitation to your wedding.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
I like that a lot. Open open bar.
Shock the wedding.
Get the shock the wedding.
I'm in.
By the way.
I'm in. You're all right with that.
Hamby, do you want to come up with this theme song this year? Do you want to do a collaboration or should we do AI again? Because, listen, you can be all about that AI song from last year. Sounds like the AI robot was being held hostage against his will singing that song.
I'm
no emotion.
The same app.
It's no emotion.
I'm a little disappointed so far. We've had the show for a year with Hamby on and everywhere, and he has a family full of musicians.
Yes.
So why can't we get your family to play a song? I mean, do I have to throw
Is it the songwriting part?
$100 or something? I mean,
do you want me to write the lyrics, Hamby?
No,
how much does this cost?
Is it creative writing? Is that what the issue is?
I guess the only issue would be time and studio fees.
Hey, takes Brent what? Talking about like a 20-second song?
We did AI. Do we really need like studio fees? Like our standard is not very high.
Take it, dude. Did you listen to the
how
first?
bad it would sound?
Put it on a FaceTime.
Oh, Hamby, I disagree. I wrote the first 2 songs by myself. No studio, no nothing. All I had was Apple Music.
No, but what did you use for the actual music?
GarageBand.
And you just picked different
I
sound
could never
bites?
figure garage.
Yeah, I just picked different sound bites. And by the way, from my cell phone. I didn't have a laptop. Literally recorded everything from my cell phone. So don't tell me that you need studio time.
Okay.
But if we do need studio time, we can call Mr. Mintz. Jeremy Mintz, he's got the studio in Jacksonville. I think he's still, I don't know.
Does he still have it?
I have no idea. I haven't seen him in like
we just need
5
a little
years.
jingle here.
Yeah. All right, I'll think about it. I'll try.
He'll think about it.
What do we have? Seriously, we have drums in your family?
Yeah,
And what else?
we have everything. Drums.
Oh, you can do everything.
Yeah, between the 3 of us, my dad is just the inspiration musically. He has very little.
Do you want me to get my mom on the violin?
Man.
Ooh.
I don't know if it would mix very well, but
I mean, hey, we could Dave Matthews Band it.
yeah, we could do that.
It's like the Partridge family,
You know,
the Hamby family.
sometimes your family. How many times in a week or a month do you get something from your family, like in the middle of the show or wherever, like, or whatever you're doing? You're sparring, you get training. Ty just texts me, "Wow, are you listening to Rory?" I'm like,
Can't
"No,
say
you
we are,
moron!
Ty.
I'm in the middle of a show."
Ty's on that spring break mode, man.
He is. He's
Ty's on that spring break mode.
Unbelievable.
Hey,
I guess Rory sounds pretty good, according to Ty.
Okay.
Or maybe not. I don't know what he means by that.
Yeah, it's up for interpretation.
Hamby, I think that you said this already, but I completely forgot. So for your wedding, is your family gonna be playing in like the wedding, like the band,
No.
or do you have like a separate band? Is it a DJ?
DJ, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I really thought about just hiring up everybody.
Yeah,
but,
that'd be cool.
I kind of wanted them to just kind of
Sit back and relax. Don't put them to work. I got you.
So,
because I imagine like being, I mean, he's got a DJ, so it doesn't matter. But like, imagine if you hired a band, like how much pressure you'd be under because you're playing in a room full of musicians.
Oh yeah.
So like you almost got to like bring your A game.
Yeah. That is true.
I was at a wedding last night. Buddy of mine.
Sunday night. That's aggressive.
Well, I mean Sunday afternoon or whatever.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There are no days.
No,
days are off
every
limits.
day. Isn't it crazy?
No, I mean you got like Tuesday morning weddings.
Yeah,
now.
at least it was Sunday night football season. But go ahead. Sorry, Hammy.
They had one guy, solo musician, acoustic, and the guy ripped.
He got ripped?
No, like he ripped, like he was really good.
Oh, because Rip could have been a couple things. He got way too drunk, couldn't play, or he got ripped because he's getting made fun of, or he dominated. Okay, he dominated. Nice. Was it like he had like the playback stuff? Like
yeah,
where
he had that.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
He did a little version of "All We Need Is Love," the Beatles. That was pretty sweet.
Yep,
that was cool.
I'm sure he probably threw some "Not Like Us" Kendrick Lamar in there too as well. Mix it up a little bit.
On
Where was the venue?
Club Continental, Orange Park.
In Orange Park. I was interested in like where the hot venues are now for weddings.
I mean, Casa is probably the top one. And I've heard that most people get married.
What's the place? Like the White Room down in St. Augustine is like a popular place, so you better book that one out for like 2 years in advance.
Sheesh, I don't know.
Hamby, just a heads up because I sent him the RSVP already, Brent. Well,
you did?
I was late, but I sent it to him. Sorry, dude.
I told him, I was like, well, you reminded us on his fight week.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you want me to do?
I didn't expect you to. I just needed to.
Dude, literally, hey guys, can we get those RSVPs? Oh, I don't know, Hamby. Try not to shake hands with God and try to win a fight. So
you
just
guys
let me
understand.
get through that first, and then I'll get back to you.
Listen, you guys, both of you understand how this works. I'm being told to get the RSVP list locked down immediately.
I know that's it.
So I have to check the box. I knew there was not a response going to come from Austen. There was no problem.
Okay, appreciate you, man. And just to let you know too, I kind of have a habit. I'm not proud of it.
Okay.
But here's what's going to happen. I'm probably going to get a couple barley pops in me at this wedding.
No problem.
I'm going to go to the DJ. I'm going to give him $20, and I'm going to say, hey, play the unedited version of WAP.
Shock your mock? Oh.
Nope, WAP. Because I did it at 2 of my friends' weddings now. And I just sit back and I watch the old people with the reactions. Because, Brent, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's an older song now, but WAP, Cardi B, and I forgot who else it is. But a very, we could say vulgar song a little bit. But yeah, I just sit back and I let the world burn, and I pay the DJ $20. So Hamby, just hopefully grandparents and everything are going to be in bed by the time the reception happens.
What if they play the J-Dash version of WAP?
No, that one's hey, I'll do that all day. I'll do a little WAP.
Austen, I will pay you $100 not to do that. Because especially this crowd.
Oh no, dude, you have no idea. Like the last wedding that I was at, it was a conservative, an older crowd. Kind of stuffy a little bit. No respect to my dude that got married, one of my friends. But I'm like, all right, let's open the dance floor up a little bit. Paid him $20, unedited version of WAP. And yeah, if you could see the reactions of just the grandparents, of just like,
oh yeah,
they were shocked.
Listen, speaking of the wedding, I wore a suit, a light blue suit that I probably hadn't worn in a year. Mm-hmm. I dig in my pocket to put my phone in there, and something's in there. There's $100 bill. It's like that's never happened to me before. I was like, I haven't worn this suit in like a year. And it's like I just saw plain 100 right there in the suit jacket. And I was like, man.
So was that supposed to be for like the previous wedding, like a little like envelope you're supposed to put that in? You never did?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Remember the last time I wore it, the suit. Yeah. But it couldn't have been in the last year.
That's a good find.
Are we going are we going bread maker? What are we doing for Hamby? Are we going half
toaster?
Toaster? Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was toaster. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I keep thinking bread. Yeah. Toaster, maybe?
I haven't thought about it.
Okay. Well, we're a couple months away.
I'll take the Dream 18
2022 ad. That's what it is. You're going to get a box. You're going to get a Dream 8. You're going to get a whole like Action Sports Shacks gear box.
Sarah can do an unboxing.
Yeah, she's going to love it.
She's going to be so impressed.
Love it, man. She's going
to be so impressed. Oh, man. On top of WAP being played in the Action Sports Jacks gift box. Can't wait.
We are going to make our presence known.
You better believe it, bro.
Hey, will the Gators make their presence known? Speaking of that NCAA tournament, here's the deal. We are going to get a lot of brackets that say Florida, right? But they should.
Yep.
This isn't a Homer Up thing. This isn't a Gator fan thing. I don't think we have a Gator fan on this show. The Gators are damn good, like really good. It's really stunning to me. Even though we watch them all the time, we say they're good, like we know they're good, fine, all that stuff. But to be able to say a college team like is so good that they almost should, not just could, but almost should win the national championship. You don't say that in this tournament. You don't say that in sports. You don't say that in collegiate sports very often. You get some dynasties like the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers are like, well, they should win the World Series.
Yeah,
they got the best team. Like, and again, we know how sports operates. That doesn't mean they are going to win, but it's like they're a favorite. They should be a favorite, and they probably will win. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Gators have a little friction because there are other really good teams this year too, like Houston and Michigan State and Duke and Auburn and probably two other teams that people want to mention in the SEC, like Tennessee or whoever else. But they really might be the best one. Like when you hear people saying they're the best, man, they're good and they're fun to watch. They don't have any holes. I'm not. And then you sit here in this tournament, you're like, I'm still not sure they're going to win it. So, which is crazy. That's how good March Madness is.
No, it's fantastic. And like to take you a little bit through the mental gymnastics of yesterday, watching all the championship games. Obviously, you know, Florida and the SEC championship, they played before the Big Ten. So like in the Wisconsin group chat, you know, we're all like, man, because we watched the Florida game. I'm like, man, like, you know, and Tennessee's a pretty solid and everything, but like Florida just everywhere, just domination, right? So you saw that game and it's like, oh man, Florida looks pretty legit. And then the whole synopsis was, well, don't sleep in Wisconsin now. They got great shooters, you know, and they got some bigs, like they can play defense. They're gritty, like, you know, if it's Wisconsin, you know, in the Sweet 16, it's an SEC team, like, don't sleep in Wisconsin. And then you watch Wisconsin and Michigan play, and you see Wisconsin drop 22% from the field goal percentage, like it was a third grade women's basketball game. And I say just because I say girls basketball game. Nobody can make a basket. I'm just thinking, regardless of who wins this Michigan-Wisconsin game, they can't hold a candle to these SEC schools. They can't hold a candle to Auburn. They can't hold a candle to Florida, to Tennessee, to Bama. So, and listen, I don't like being this SEC like, trying to champion them as a legit conference. But if you watch them compared to any other conference, it just, Brent, do I dare say, it just looks different. It feels different.
It just means more.
It just means more.
Yes, it does.
Listen, here, it's, you said all that, right, about Wisconsin.
They were in control. Now I'm reading the comments like you are. They were in control the whole game. They were in control with 22% shooting. Yeah.
These teams are capable. There are a lot of teams capable. The thing about Florida is even when they don't play at their best, they're like Tiger Woods right now. I mean, they could play in their B game and still win.
Yeah.
Not too many teams can do that. Like, that's really impressive. But, we looked at this last night, went through the whole thing, because I wasn't here when the Gators went back-to-back. So the last time it felt like this would have been when the Gators went back-to-back. The second year, they were number one in the country. They were number one in the country for a lot of the time. I think they only dropped to number 7. Mm-hmm. This actually feels a little bit more like the first go-around, because Florida wasn't ranked in the top 25 to start the year that year in 05-06. They weren't this year either, believe it or not. They weren't ranked in the top 25. They earned their way in, and then they kept climbing. But the interesting thing about it is I think most people would compare this team to the second go-around team from that back-to-back championship, Florida. Well, even in that tournament, and I remember this. I remember where I was. I was listening in the car to this game in the NCAA tournament, driving somewhere in Florida, even though I didn't live here. I think we were down here spring break. And the Butler game, that second year, Butler had them.
Yeah.
Butler almost beat them. And Butler was a little Cinderella back then, but they were getting more and more like the Gonzaga, like they're going to be in it all the time. Look out. And they almost beat them. And then they went on and they survived that game. So will they have to survive a game? Probably. But I also remind you that UConn last year did not have to survive a game.
That's what
they were like double-digit wins all the time.
It was such a miserable tournament.
Yeah.
Because like everyone kind of called, they were the favorites, and they're the favorites for a reason.
So what kind of tournament are we going to get? Again, Auburn, capable. Tennessee, capable. Michigan State, we think capable. I've been watching them a lot. Duke, capable, right? Houston, I think, don't sleep on Houston now. I think they're really good, and they've been there so many times.
I'm sleeping. I picked them last year.
Have they knocked down the door enough? We'll see. They might be Gonzaga that never wins it.
I was going to say, Houston seems like the new Gonzaga, where it's like, man, they're the sexy team. Like, they get the job done, all of a sudden the tournament, it's like, oh, yeah, can't quite get it.
So, anyway, I think this is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun tournament. It could end up chalky by the end of it, but it's going to be fun. I asked you this question. Do you guys care about whether they were the number 1 overall seed or where they ended up as a number 1 seed? Like, Florida fans would probably care about that. I don't care about it. In fact, some people will argue that St. John's is a tough draw as a potential chalk number 2 seed in this bracket. Mm-hmm. So really, you ask yourself this. Auburn was the number 1 overall seed, right?
Yeah.
So if Auburn's number 1, would you rather play Michigan State in the Elite 8? Or would you rather play St. John's in the Elite 8? Because the number 1 seed has to play Michigan State.
Yeah.
These guys have to play St. John's. I know St. John's is a great story, and Rick Pitino's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, as a coach.
But Tom Izzo.
As a coach.
Yeah.
But so is Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
And Michigan State's pretty dang good. Like, some people think they can win it all. I think I'd rather play St. John's in that spot.
Agreed.
I actually think they got the better draw.
Agreed. And at the end of the day, you got to beat everybody anyways. Right, so
you do.
I mean, if you're truly one of the best teams,
well, you don't
in
have to beat
best,
everybody, though.
Well, but you have to get through great teams in the end, So,
Hamby, what do you think? Do you think does that number 1 overall? Like, I know some Florida fans are like, "Well, on the number 1 overall." Like, I've never really looked at the number 1 overall. That matters. I really believe you get the top 8 teams in the country, you're going to have to earn your way in, right? I mean, if it all went chalk, you're going to have to earn your way in.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to? I mean, I just don't get really the goal of trying to debate whether you have a little bit of a tougher time playing Michigan State or like if you're that fan base, whether you're going to play Michigan State or St. John's, like you got to win 3 games before that. And at the end of the day, a lot of things go out the window when you get to this point. You just got to get hot. And if you get hot, you'll win. And, this team versus that team matters, I feel like, a lot less, in March Madness.
Yeah. Well, I do think matchups matter now. I mean, so we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't watch enough of it across the country to know like what matchup is going to potentially sting Florida. because in the SEC, I mean, I feel like you're getting a lot of different matchups, especially this year with teams so good. Glad to see Bruce Pearl, Kelvin Sampson take 2 showers. Yeah, that's a deodorant commercial waiting to happen. Yeah, you're right. That's all you see when you picture those guys is sweat.
Boy, right? Bruce Lowe, man. Milwaukee's greatest export.
You know, they really do. Listen, of all the BS in college hoops, and I'm like the worst guy in the world when it comes to these coaches, big-time college football and basketball. I hate them. Like, I don't hate them. That's the bad thing to say. I just think they've ruined the sport in many ways. They've got us to where we are. That's my big core belief. Whether people believe it or not, I'm stuck on it. So, but we do have a lot of really good coaches, too. I mean, you can't ignore that they're good coaches. And think about the coaches right now at some of these places. I mean, from Bruce Pearl, what he's done with Auburn, to Kelvin Sampson, who's been a very underrated coach probably in his time anyway. Then you've got like what Golden and Shire are doing. I mean, Shire's trying to take over for the Legend and bring them to a national title. They've done a very nice job. Look what UNC's kind of struggled with that transition, right? And then you got Patino coming back in St. John's and what they're doing. So these are old guys, a lot of old guys. There's some new blood, but there's old guys that have figured out the NIL world. That because probably in basketball, it was the most familiar world there is.
Yeah.
Hey, we're paying people anyway, right? Yeah. So, we just got to pay them a little bit more now, and we don't have to hide it. Great.
Let me ask you this, Brent, because, we're obviously, I pay attention more to college football than I do basketball. It's just a lot less games to keep track of. Makes me a little more, makes me happier. Are you surprised? I don't think there's a big precedent on winning your conference championship. Obviously in football, you win it, cool, you're in. No questions asked. You win the conference championship, yep, welcome to the playoff. You win the conference championship in Michigan, all right, here's a 5 seed. You win the conference championship, the hardest conference one would say in the SEC, Florida, yeah, you get a 1 seed, but you ain't getting the top seed. Are you surprised there's not more of a precedent for winning said conference championship?
Yeah.
Or tournament, I guess you would say, not championship.
It's interesting, right, that dynamic. I would say, yes, I'm a little bit surprised because that means you're playing really well late as well, so you're on a roll.
Yeah.
But they actually have been pretty consistent in this, where they don't really if you're that high up, you don't factor it in as much. I think the dynamic is fascinating because the one bid leagues, it means everything.
It's everything.
It means everything. And then the ones that are strong, big-time conferences, it kind of means nothing.
Yeah.
So, at least from a seeding perspective, right? From a tournament perspective. So, I do find that dynamic is kind of fascinating where you could have so much emphasis on some and seemingly the committee doesn't put a lot of emphasis on others.
Of course. And that's what we're saying because with the seeding, that they're saying, Wisconsin's a better team than Michigan. They're saying, Michigan State's a better team than Michigan won the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
So, why, but, yeah.
One last thing, for now, I think St. John's is fascinating. They were nothing. They were so irrelevant. They hired Patino back from all the whatever that nobody cares about years later, right? Any of the controversy stuff. And he's old, but he's still a really good coach. And they said, hey, did you see the story? It's the body armor guy. And the vitamin water and body armor guy, I guess, are the same guys. He came up with the same stuff. Huh? Well, so he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
So he put 7 figures into their NIL.
Because he's from there, obviously, right?
He went there.
Okay, I got you.
So 7 figures. Go get Patino. 7 figures in NIL. Here they are.
Wow.
That's
what it is.
Which, by the way, I'm cool with St. John's being in it and being good, but it's just amazing how quickly you can turn it. Quite frankly, Florida, they're in the game. I don't know how much they're giving out, but they're obviously in the game. They're playing the business part of this very well. They're invested. This isn't just hey, recruited a bunch of guys and no, those guys are getting paid, know? So they're playing that game too. Just fascinating. I really think you could you go find me some oil dude from University of Texas, El Paso, and you could become a top 10 team in the country with a good coach and a lot of money.
It's crazy.
If you really wanted to do it, I think you could do it.
Yep.
That feels what they did. St. John's is great going all the way back. I'm a Big East guy. I grew up. Great history. They've been nothing. I think this is the first time they went to the Big East, maybe won the Big East championship or were in the Big East championship in 30 years.
Yeah.
And they did it overnight. They basically did it overnight, which shows you anybody can do it overnight in college basketball. Anyway, I think we got a great tournament. Check out on Twitter and also on YouTube. There's a link to our bracket challenge. Get in on the challenge. Let's have some fun with it. We will have some prizes and stuff, but it's right there under ESPN. Is there an easy, if they don't grab the link, you just look up Brent Austen Show on the ESPN bracket game, right?
Yeah.
And just
it would
join
be
the group.
easiest to do the link, so you can find that in the chat or on social media. But
Yeah,
yes,
and we'll keep pushing it out over the next couple of days as well. All right, let's take a time out. Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network. A lot going on. NCAA tournament. What's going on in the world of football with all these signings? We'll catch you up again if you missed it. And also,
it's a lot of money.
You know, Cincinnati's interesting to me here. I got a thought on them as an organization, what just transpired. And Trey Hendrickson could be next. And then we also go back to the Players' Championship. Don't want to ignore that now that the playoff is over. Rory McIlroy wins. We've got our Action Sports Jacks crew there, so we'll take you to the Players' Championship as well, all the way until 1 o'clock on a St. Paddy's Day here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I'm ready to show my hand, ready to take a stand. Wait on a sign above, and I am ready, ready. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. The crown's for the tape. I got it. Iconic. I'm built to win. Back to back, I do it again. I'm iconic. I'm one of a kind. I'm iconic.
Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years, and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
JJ Spawn, Rory McIlroy teed it off 16th hole, 17th hole, 18th hole. That was 9 o'clock this morning. It was way windier than the last couple of days. The worst wind yet, and a chilly morning, too. So impressed with the crowds that went out there. My wife and Ty went out too. I was like, wow, you guys are going out for like 45 minutes. You know that? And but they did, and they got to see a little bit of Players Championship history, which is always cool. Like that's part of it here, is you're a part of history in this tournament. And once again, 17 was a decider because Rory put a lot of pressure on Spawn. Spawn has one career win. Rory now has 28. He's got 4 majors. Obviously, Spawn has no majors. Spawn actually has made $14 million in his career. Rory has made $95 million. So this is a big mismatch if you're really thinking about it. But Rory put the pressure on. He nailed the drive down the middle, ends up birdie in 16, hit a good shot to the middle of 17. And then Spawn, this is Rory on 17, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching this from home right before the show. And so that's safe. Rory actually 3-putted that. So he makes bogey on 17 after the birdie on 16. But I'm assuming Weber's shots here, which, by the way, are fantastic. Here's Spawn. He flushed this. And there's so much wind on 17 this morning, he didn't know it went in the water.
Oh, wow.
But he flew it right into the water. He was stunned. He thought it was, he's like, where is it?
Yeah, he couldn't find it.
He thought it was on the green. He couldn't see it. It flew right over into the water. He ends up making a triple bogey, and it's game over.
Yeah, thanks for playing.
17 decides it once again, which is cool. I'll tell you what, I always say this about Weber, man. That was Weber. He could shoot some golf. He got those shots like really good off to the side.
People don't understand how hard.
Oh, and golf is so hard to shoot, so hard to shoot. And he can shoot it. I mean, he followed that ball on 17.
Nice. There you go.
Really well. So you want to see it again?
I do.
Yeah,
that is hard.
And we're back.
I thought, see the bird?
Yeah.
I thought the ball had, I didn't know if that was Spawn shot for a second.
Smoked it.
Has that ever happened?
Well, it's hit the bulkhead before. Oh, hit the bird? Probably.
Had to have.
I haven't seen that on 17.
So I was curious about this, me being the golf expert and everything. Obviously, 17 is kind of a make or break hole. So one would think that you try to get as many reps in practice as possible on 17, yeah?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't players come in a week early and just play at the Players a bunch just to get acclimated a little more?
We're playing other events.
Well, was there an event last week?
It's Bay Hill. So I mean, there's a combination of things. I've seen this tournament for a long time now. So I think there's a couple of things that work. One, guys like Rory have played it so many times that you've probably seen just about everything. Now you got to go execute the shot and the shots.
Okay.
So you know the course really well because it's the same place every time. The only thing that does change are the weather conditions. Even the pin placements are usually pretty similar. The guys that haven't played it in the tournament, most have now played the course because part of TPC Sawgrass is it's a home course for the players. Like, they have membership there. So, like, the Danny Walker story was fantastic. He moved to Jacksonville like 6 years ago because it was expensive to try to be a pro, so he could practice and play at TPC Sawgrass for free. So that's why he came to Jacksonville. And so he's played the course like 100 times.
Yeah.
And so he has a lot. So I think a lot of the guys already have that knowledge and everything else. What you really just can't, and I'll give you one other thing. Now, you can do it the week prior, but you can't do it months in advance, is you can't take, until they build the chalets and stuff, you really have no idea how it's going to impact your ball off the tee. The chalets and the wind up top compared to the wind down low, the wind on the green compared to the wind on the tee, and then what the wind is doing in between all those chalets, that's why you have so many problems there, is because they overthink it or they can't see what's coming. Now, the wind was really tough today on 17. So Spawn hitting in the water there wasn't surprising. It just, he couldn't figure it out. He didn't know which club to hit. And I think, sorry, I missed who it was, but somebody said they think McIlroy going 9-iron there off the tee first might have gotten Spawn's head a little bit, because he didn't look convicted to his shot when he was standing there. And then even when he hit the drop shot, he was not convicted. So the wind was really messing with him on 17, and rightfully so. I mean, those flags were really whipping. I think we've got Weber on right now, in fact. So let's go over to TPC Sawgrass and covered this thing in the morning. And, I mean, your hair looks fine. You must have put a lot of product in to attest for that wind this morning.
It's not that crazy windy. I mean, yes, there was some wind out here for sure, but not mess up my hair levels of wind, I would say.
No, I mean, those flags were, I've got video of that 16 flag, like, bending sideways, and obviously the ball's going up 100 feet in the air on the 17th hole, so it's being impacted a little bit differently than your hair.
Yes, probably. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful right now. I mean, it has been. The blue skies are great. The sun's out. What a crowd.
Crazy.
Spring break helps a lot, right? Where, you know, kids and probably families were taking time off this day anyways to start spring break. But yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool. I'm just bummed that it was anticlimactic, right? You get this huge crowd out here, and there's probably people waiting on 18, like, oh, this is going to be awesome. We're in the best spot. And then it's a 3-shot lead as you get there. So it was cool, though. I enjoyed it. It was fun to see the Players' Champ decided here on a Monday morning.
Stuart, was the crowd reception obviously pretty excited to see Rory win?
Yeah. I mean, anytime a star wins, they love that, right? They love the star power. And there's a lot of Rory fans out here, for sure. It's just this weird thing where you, like, feel bad for JJ at that point, right? I mean, you get so excited for this playoff, and just like that, you know, you put the ball in the water at 17, and it's basically done. I mean, the second you put the ball in 17 in the water, it was over.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, right? There's some gymnastics going on this morning. And again, I mean, if you're a golf fan or even a sport fan, you can attest to this in other sports. But, like, you kind of wanted to see 16, 17, 18. You wanted to see what drama you would get. And then you almost want to see it keep going. It's like, What are you going to wake up to this morning? Are you waking up to the fact that they're still playing here in the middle of the Brent Austen Show and they're on hole number 8? Are you about to see something epic, right? Are you about to see some great moment in players' history? And really, at the end of the day, it turned into a little bit of a dud because it was over when the ball went in the water at 17. And it might have been over right when Rory birdied 16, quite frankly. But it really was over by 17. There was no hope on 18, which also could provide a lot of drama based on that hole. What's crazy, Weber, is, I mean, this dude has played really well for like the last month plus. And he's a good player, obviously. He hasn't been world-class like Rory, but he's been around for a long time, and he's played a lot of good golf, and he played a lot of good golf this weekend. He played terrible. I mean, he did not hit a good shot. Like, he really did not. He didn't even hit what I said earlier today. He didn't even hit an average shot by PGA Tour standards. Like, he just didn't have it this morning when he woke up.
Yeah, the funny thing is, so Rory on Sunday night said, I need 5 good swings. I need to go out there and make 5 good swings. He's taking the putts out of the equation, right? Tee shot, approach shot at 16, tee shot at 17, tee shot, approach shot at 18. 5 good swings is what I need. And he had, out of 6, he had 5 okay ones, right? But he ended up only needed 3. Once he put that tee shot on at 17, he was good. He was done. He didn't need those last 2 good swings. He didn't need, and he still, by the way, found way right at 18 somehow. I guess you're just really taking the water out of play, right? And saying, I'm not dealing with that at all. I'm just going to completely.
He could have hit putter off 18 at that point.
Yeah, he could have. But I mean, so he had the game plan. He had the idea. Just speaking in the media center a couple minutes ago, he said, I treated this like a full round. I came when I normally would in the morning. I got my morning gym session in. I went to the range. I did exactly what I would have done for a full day's work. And then I went and made a few $1 million on 3 holes. he didn't say that part. I'm adding that part.
That's what it was, though. Yep.
Yeah, $4.5 million.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But $4.5 million and more to the resume and the distinguished nature of being a 2-time Players champ as well. Really pretty good stuff for Rory McIlroy, who has now won twice since it moved back to March. He admittedly says he didn't like it in May. It's a totally different animal in March where he likes it a lot better, and he's obviously proven that. He's now won twice here in the return to March for the Players Championship. Hey, a couple other huge stories this week, by the way, from the Players. Really cool stories if you like stories and you like local guys. I mentioned Danny Walker earlier, and this is what's kind of neat. He had been here for 6 years, but he really hasn't played a ton on tour. I think he's got like 6 starts, $684,000 in career earnings, okay, over this like 5 or 6 years. And he won like 800 and something thousand this week by finishing top 6. And he was great. I mean, he played really well. And then you got Bud Cauley, who a guy we followed early on in his career, got into a bad car accident after his career at Alabama and derailed his golf career. Like, he actually had been out from the pandemic for like 3 years. He kind of was like, all right, I'm getting out. He's still early 30s. He just turned 35 yesterday. Got back in last year. He played really good golf this week, Weber. And now I'm kind of got my eyes on Bud again because he actually has like world-class kind of game he did years ago. Now you wonder if this propels him into maybe a nice 2025 season back up the world rankings.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and I'm pretty sure I saw that his performance at the Players secured his card for the 2025 season.
It did.
When you're coming back from those injuries, you have a certain amount of starts to go out there and perform well enough to secure your status, and he did just that. So huge week for him. And you mentioned it with Danny Walker. The whole reason that he's living here in Jacksonville is because it is hard financially as a young professional golfer, like to make it to the PGA Tour. And he's been grinding, right? He's been on the Corn Ferry Tour for 3 years. There's a reason we hadn't heard his name as a local resident, despite him being here for 6 years, is because of the fact that, he's been working his way up from, the mini tours in Florida to the Corn Ferry Tour. And now he goes and gets a great paycheck, and that's gonna pay off big time for him. I'm thinking I don't know. Is he going to stay living in Jacksonville, or do you think he might move to Ponte Vedra now that he's got that that good finish?
Always going to Ponte Vedra.
I specifically asked him after the press conference because he was listed and billed as from Jacksonville, Florida, and it's like are you living in Jacksonville or are you living in Ponte Vedra? It's like no, I'm inland a little bit. I'm in Jacksonville, so he's living in Jacksonville and representing Duval, right, for 6 years now. Why not? But Danny Walker is such a cool story. And really for both of those guys, I think the thing that we maybe forget a little bit is that they were both alternates. Like on Monday, neither of them knew they were playing in the Players Championship. Bud got the call early, right? He got the call Monday and was able to drive up here and get into the field, and he was going to drive up anyways. But Danny Walker was in the clubhouse Thursday morning, just kind of going through his day and not sure what was going to happen. And then 2 hours later, he's playing with Jordan Spieth and Wyndham Clark. That storyline of guys who are in there as an alternate and just kind of waiting and seeing if they're going to get a spot on those 144 guys, that always lends itself to some of the best stories and drama in a golf tournament. And great week for Danny Walker to be able to turn that into, like you said, a top 10 and a life-changing paycheck.
By the way, it reminds me of like your game, like when they have the short fight stuff.
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like, remember when it was in Jacksonville that year? I know you're like, hey, I'll go on 24 hours.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, that's like, bam, got the call Thursday. Knowing he said he was in the
Crazy.
bathroom, and all of a sudden that week turns into like $1 million life-changing week. By the way, not life-changing enough to afford the houses right now in Ponte Vedra with the current rates, okay? So he's staying in Jacksonville. He
Dude
needs
can
a few
walk
more
over, though,
checks.
Brent. I mean, he can probably walk a couple blocks over.
He can
rent.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. This will be interesting to see where you land on this one, Austin.
Okay.
And this is I feel like this might have a little get off my lawn to it. But I'm not saying I have a problem with it. I'm just bringing this up. All right. I feel like I hear, and Weber actually walks the course even more than me now, especially around 15, 16, 17, 18, and is listening to it. I feel like the heckler in golf is a little bit more and more over the top. Have we given them too much leniency, as like the Scottsdale tournament allowed for, hey, we want to be like that here. And again, golf is, hecklers are fine. Hecklers are fun. It makes it fun, but golf is a little bit unique in how quiet it is and everything else. And really what I go to here is it's a younger generation that does not, like, they're just a little bit more brash, I think, of what they're willing to say. I'm going to give you one more example of this, too, guys. You're over there, when the players come in, the kids are all there getting autographs. You should hear what the kids say to these guys. They are shameless. Like, they are just like, it's not just like a quiet kid, like, hey, can you please sign? Like that's what you're kind of used to.
Oh, that's what I was,
like,
man. I
hey,
was
can I have your
nervous.
glove? Can I have your shoes? Can I have your hat? Walker! I mean, it's like, holy cow, man.
Yeah.
Like, but I do think it's a little bit of, we see this on the baseball field or in sports or in the basketball court. These guys rib each other a lot more. The kids do. There are a lot more yapping going on with the younger generation. I feel like they need, and we're seeing in college sports where, like, we had a kid at JU ejected last night during a home run trot after he hit a long ball. I'm not telling you I have a complete problem with it. I'm just asking, is it different? And maybe is it a little bit over the top at times, especially in a sport like golf?
I mean, from my opinion, I think it definitely is. It's different now. And if you want to talk about the hecklers part, I think that whatever network you watch golf on, like when they can show every single shot, I think there's more incentive for, if you're a kid or you're older person, to shout things, because then you can go back and say, oh, listen, like you can hear me in the background, right? Because everyone loves that instant feedback. People love to say, hey, that was me that did that.
Yeah.
They want to point their finger and say, you hear what he said? That was me. So I think there's some of that. Also, I think just with social media these days, it has made people a lot more comfortable in terms of how they approach athletes, what they say to athletes, and it's that way in social media. It's the same way in real life as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Weber, do you notice it? And you don't have to agree with me here. I just want, does it feel a little bit different than 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. And the thing, I think Austin hit it with the social media part. People want to go viral. People want their comp. They want to be, like first guy who yelled mashed potatoes. Like, what? Why? Because he wanted to go viral. He wanted it to be heard. And
it worked.
It worked.
You're the mashed potatoes guy. Put it in the resume.
Unfortunately, it worked. So, that guy's the mashed potatoes guy now. Good for him. Yes, I think that there's a little bit of that. You want to get on the camera shot. You don't mind being shameless to do it. It's you're brash. You're out there, and yes, Brent, you lose a touch of the decorum side of it, right? Now, when we're in Augusta, you don't.
Yeah,
because
you don't.
They will come and rip that credential out, and and you're going to be, in the back lot of Augusta, not in a happy place.
Yeah, never invited back. You're right.
And never invited back, right? But yes, I do think it has changed a little bit. That's just part of it.
Well, here's the thing, though. It puts the players in a tough spot, right? Because you're trying to do a job and you're playing for millions of dollars, but the camera's catching you being like, what the hell, man? And you look soft, right? You look like, oh, come on, dude, you're a soft golfer. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first one to say that for sure.
But you would, I think we would all be at some point, if you hear it enough, you'd probably be, especially if you're frustrated or whatever, you're probably going to have a similar reaction.
Yeah.
But we hammer that guy for having that reaction.
No, you do, but like it's such an intimate sport too, right?
Yeah.
Where crowds can get like right on top of you and you can hear something, and obviously it's more of a laid back sport. So like, yeah, you're focused, but then also you hear somebody shouting something, it's going to throw you off a little bit possibly. So I understand the frustration from golfers. It's just, me being an athlete myself, it's hard to sympathize with them as well because it's part of the crowd experience. It's just, listen, it's clout chasing, Brent. It's the way the world works. Some people want to be known as the mashed potatoes guy. Some people want to be known as the guy that said Cooper Kupp was coming to Jacksonville. Whoops. And some people want to be known as the guy that said, Trayvon Walker might be getting traded. We don't know. It's just, it's the world that we live in.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Weber, good work out there this week. We're applauding your good golf video on 17 there. Nice job.
I did what I can. It was a tough spot because, it was so crowded in the normal spot where I like to stand. You like to try and form a line, right, between you, the flag, and the tee box so that you can get that follow of the arc. And there's just so many people in that spot behind the green that there's no way I'm setting up a tripod over there, right? So I kind of figured the best spot I could find was down by the, the walkway, right where they walk onto the green, and did my best to follow from the side with the sun. And yeah, that worked out all right.
Yeah, nailed it. You got the splash, man. Good stuff. All right, we'll see you at noon, I think, on CBS 47, and then later today at Action Sports Shack, CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Shacks at the Players Championship. Thanks, man.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
That is Stuart Weber and Marcel Robinson.
I
great
like those
job.
shades. I
And
like those
also,
shades, Stuart.
Olivia Tasley, they did a great job all week. A lot of coverage out there at the Players Championship. Another great rendition. It's an awesome event. It is so cool. The one thing about that heckling stuff, again, I think there's like Glenn C's saying 20 high noons will do it. I'm not sure it's that. My point is, yeah, there's that, right? I mean, you got your young college kid there, too, and then you got your mid-20s and late 20s guy in the bag a little bit. But it's not all that. It's not all that. Like, not every guy there or whatever heckling is hammered. That I think it's more like this rite of passage that it's become like it's the cool thing to do is like say that. You guys nailed it. I think to kind of get that little clout or say I'm going to have fun with it. But I mean, in reality, these guys are playing for their life out there. Some of them. Some of those guys are playing like a guy like Walker is playing for his career.
Sure, okay.
Now, I'm not saying he's getting heckled because he might just, but he is playing for his, that is a huge tournament for him. Now, Rory's not, of course.
Yeah.
And he's probably getting heckled more than others and also applauded more than others. So it's a mixed bag. I think what's interesting about the players, and I said this to Lee Smith on Friday, and it's kind of hit me actually a little bit with my own kid, but if you see what they do is such a great job at the Players Championship is with an adult, you can bring 2 kids for free. And when you do that, over time, it becomes such a tradition now to go to the Players. You see the same people there at the Players. I mean, we saw more people there that I hadn't seen in years, it feels like, or since the last Players that you see out there. Well, what you do is now all these young kids that grew up going at 6 years old, 10 years old with mom and dad, now they're like 20. And they want to go out. They're still going out. Yep. Like my kid went to every day. Like, find me a ticket somehow. Get me every day went to it. So it's the place to be in that younger generation. See, that's different than Augusta. There are a lot of young people that would like to go to the Masters, but it's still a very old person crowd at the Masters because there aren't a lot of kids hanging around. And the old people aren't heckling.
No, for sure.
So anyway, it's just a fascinating kind of morph, but I think the players have done it really well where now you've got this younger generation involved in golf. And we've said it many times. There are the 18 to 25-year-old age group because of the pandemic. There are more of those guys playing golf than ever before. Yeah. That turned onto the game. Whether they're good or not, they still like to go play.
Yeah. Getting back real quick, because this actually reminded me of over this, 2 weekends ago. But when we talk about just how and this is every sport really, in terms of youth, in terms of fans, in terms of, wanting to interject and kind of make it, I don't want to make it sound bad, but kind of make it more about you. When I was a kid, I would go to the Green Bay Packers training camp, or I'd go to a Bucs game. What am I doing? I'm asking for autographs. Right, that's you get a program. Heck, I still have my 1995 Jacksonville Jaguars Stevens Point training camp program with Tony Baselli's autograph, and Mark Brunell was there. I mean, I have all those guys like that. That was the point to say, hey, I was here. Look what I got. I met these people. Well, those days are long gone now because it's all about it's almost making it about you more. Right? It's I need a selfie, not because to show I met you, but I want to be a part of it.
That's right.
Right? Or I want to yell mashed potatoes because I want to interject myself. So it seems like somewhere along the line, whether it's social media, whether it's the technology of cameras or whatever, but like somewhere along the line, it stopped being about just having the story of meeting the athlete, and now it's like interjecting yourself so you meet the athlete, but it's also like about you as well. And the reason why I brought this up, the reason I thought about this is because I was in the airport in Kalispell, Montana.
Okay.
And small airport. But someone taps me on the shoulder, I look around, he goes, "Hey, you're Austen Lane, right?" I go, "Yeah, what's up?" And the guy, I'd probably put him like a middle age, maybe my age. He goes, "Dude, can I have your autograph?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "Man, it was a hard fight you fought, man, and it just didn't go your way, but I'm excited for the next one." I'm going to go, "Okay." So like he started talking to me a little bit, and he had a piece of paper, and I'm like, "Man, I don't have a pen." He's like, "Yeah, let me get a pen quick." So he got a pen, and I signed an autograph. And like, didn't ask for a picture, didn't ask for anything else, just wanted an autograph. And like, so I left, and I'm like, that felt really weird because I hadn't done that. And like, dude, I'll take like some, at the beach bars or whatever. Don't go there a lot, but once in a while, like, "Hey, let me get a picture, man." And like, everyone wants to get a pose and all this stuff, or it's
That's
my friend's birthday. Can you wish him happy birthday? Like things like that. Very rarely do you ever just sign an autograph anymore. But like,
unless Casey comes up to you,
unless Casey comes. Well, hey,
sorry, I like that line.
That's life, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's wild how it's changed, where it's more about interjecting yourself now in the moment as opposed to just being happy with, "Hey, I met somebody today,"
Yeah, that's actually it's a great. You wouldn't think about it, but it's a great thing. Yeah. By the way, that's pretty random in Montana to be seen.
So
that's pretty wild.
So there's that, and then the other random one, which I got to impress my son with, was when I told the story before, but we got stranded in Iowa. We're supposed to fly back home to Wisconsin for Christmas. We had to reroute our flight to Iowa. I think we're in Des Moines, Iowa. Once again, small airport. And we're walking through the airport getting our luggage because we had to take a rent-a-car to drive from Iowa to Wisconsin. And not once but twice, two guys stopped me. And they said, "Dude, you're Austen Lane, right?" And it's just like, my son was like, "How do they know you in Iowa?" I'm like, "Well, dude, it's Iowa. It's a big wrestling community. I assume they're probably MMA fans, and that's what it was."
MMA,
yeah, but he was surprised, like in Des Moines, Iowa, people like recognized me.
I wonder what the how about locally?
Mm-hmm.
Well, luckily it wouldn't add up. I'm kind of thinking, because you have three different animals now to work from. There's the football, played for the Jags.
Yep.
There's even this
which I get,
genre, right?
Which I get a lot from too.
Which is now your most current one, and obviously locally, even more people would, if they moved in, would know.
Yeah.
And then the MMA and UFC, which has obviously elevated the brand too, being in UFC the last couple of years. So that's kind of interesting. I'm not saying I don't know the percentages, but you can get it from all walks of life. You don't have to know one or the other, as long as you know one.
No, for sure. It's funny because usually, like, if they're a fan of the show, it's not even like, "Let me get a picture." It's, "Hey, so what's going on with, like, is Trevor the guy or not, Austin?" Tell like, I get that all the time.
Yeah, they don't ask for a lot of pictures, fan of the show. It's like Go Jags or something.
I know you didn't spend a ton of time walking the greens. Did anybody stop you for an autograph?
I didn't sign any autographs.
I've had to take pictures. Hey. Don't get it twisted now.
I signed autographs. I just I didn't sign them today. I always think it's funny when they ask me. I'm like, don't ruin this stuff for an autograph. But I always carry Sharpies just in case.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, Brent Martineau going to Sawgrass during the Players Weekend would be like, LeBron James and All-Star Week in NBA. Like, dudes taking pictures, kissing babies. I remember one time we were doing the show there. I had to take a picture with a fan. Hey, no.
That was one of my greatest moments ever.
Imagine my ego, though, right?
Austin had to take the picture.
Imagine my ego. Imagine saying, "Oh, that's Brent Martineau. Hey, 6'6", whoever you are, do you mind taking a picture of Brent Martineau and me?" Which I did, and I invited. Ego was hurt a little bit, but I got newfound respect for you.
That's pretty cool. You have a bodyguard now.
Wow. Yo,
exactly.
That's wrong.
Hey, I just tweeted this too. I don't know why this was like so satisfying in a way. But I saw Bortles and Brandon Linder out there on Friday. Right?
Really?
Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was great to catch up with them.
Yeah.
And, Linder looks great, by the way. He's down in Miami now, and he says he's going to eventually move back. I guess his wife's doing some schooling down there in Miami. And he loves retirement now and everything else.
Cool.
And he was always cool. Like, Linder was cool. But obviously the whole Bortles thing is a Bortles thing in Jacksonville. And, I mean, he's just hanging out. He looks great.
Sure.
But you got people. So I just talked to him for a few minutes. And in that time, you got people coming up, to him as well and wanting to take pictures and stuff.
Dude's a legend here.
And he really is. Like that. And I think that's why I say, like, that was kind of the coolest part of the weekend for me, running into those guys and just still seeing how this place feels about Blake.
Yeah.
Because I really thought, I mean, listen, we went through it with him there. We saw it up close. And I really thought he had to go through some things in his NFL career. And you know me, I've always thought, I still can't believe he's not a backup somewhere, and that's not happening. He's living. He's got another kid on the way, by the way. He's going to have 3 by 7-4 and another one, just being a dad and all that stuff. But you said it. It's really cool to watch people interact with Blake in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And so much of that is almost like just from a perspective of, man, they crapped on him. Not here in Jacksonville necessarily at times, but it was everybody else. And I still feel like here in Northeast Florida that we almost have like this protection bubble for Blake.
So yeah,
which is kind of neat.
So this was, I think, one of the things that it's almost like a bittersweet part of being a professional athlete. Because, and I realized this once I got cut from the Jaguars. I always took pride, like, I didn't want to be known. I mean, obviously, like, I want to play football as long as possible and everything, but I wanted people to appreciate me more for what I was as a person and, like, what I was outside of football than actually football. And then I get cut, and then all of a sudden, this is back when I really cared about Twitter, where all my followers, just like, I lost, like, 1,000 people. And people would be in my mentions saying, oh, got to let Austen Lane go. Sorry you got cut, man. But, like, on the, just because I got let go, because I wasn't part of your team anymore. So, like, you couldn't follow me anymore. And that was the thing. Now, the landscape has probably changed since, 2012 or 13, but that's the way that it was back then. And I think you have a guy like Blake Bortles who, he did some good on the field. Obviously, he got paid and everything. And, he didn't do some good on the field. And sometimes, I mean, I say this candidly, he was the guy that my first curse word ever in front of my son was because of Blake Bortles. Because he played the Houston Texans and he might have thrown another pick 6 and I go, what the bleep was that? And then at the time my wife was like, you can't talk like that in front of him. I go, well, what do you want me to do? Like, he threw another pick 6 and it ain't my fault. That's a natural reaction. Like, anybody would have that reaction. Thank God I wasn't at the game doing that because it would have been even worse. So I get there's a lot of up and down with Blake, but I think now he's embraced more for who he is as a person. Yeah. Right? Like, you saw him on the Barstool stuff and all that. And, like, that wasn't contrived. Like, that's who he is. And I think that's something special in that. Like, maybe spend a lot of time at the beach bars. Hey, Blake, I'm with you. Brother in arms, man. I was there too, right? But I think there's something to be said for a city that can embrace a guy after he's done playing more for about who he is as a person, set aside from what he did on the field. And that's who Blake Bortles is, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a good call. It's a fascinating psychology because we do feel like, okay, the sports guys are viewed as a certain way, and then if it doesn't work out, they are kind of kicked to the side.
Yeah.
And to your point, you live that too in probably multiple different ways. Yeah. And it's neat to see. I guess I'm not surprised if it works out that way. I think what's different about the Blake thing here is that either enough years have passed or 2017 was so good or Blake is just such a cool dude that people rally around him here. It's not that. They're not – you don't have to be that anymore. It doesn't matter if you threw an interception anymore or whatever. It didn't work out. And I think there is this different level to it. And I saw it. I mean, I was just around him for like 15 minutes, but it was really eye-popping to me. It was pretty – he's 32 years old. And see, now I can do this a little bit. At my age, I actually can look at some of these younger Jags players, and I could almost be their dad. I couldn't be that with Blake. But I was right in the middle of that thing with Blake, and I watched it up close. And there was just this side of you that you knew he was such a good dude. And he was getting hammered left and right at times. And you felt so bad. Like, I knew it was hard for his family. Mm-hmm. I knew it was hard for him, harder than he admitted. Like, it was a weird time, but he also got like 2017 out of it, which puts you in the history books here in Jacksonville. It's not going to put him in the pride but it puts people in their memory banks, especially around here where you've had 2 of those instances in 17 years that I've been here.
Yeah.
It's 17 and 22 that you're part of that one. And you were a big part of that one. And nobody was rooting harder for him to be part of that one or be really good than Jacksonville because he's the ultimate Jacksonville guy. Like, he was helping the people build his house a couple of months ago.
So,
they didn't even know it was him. He literally was helping them build the house.
Yeah. So when it comes to some of the
his own.
Yeah, it's insane. When it comes to some like the favorite sons of Jacksonville, obviously there's Blake Bortles and obviously there's Gardner Minshew. Yeah. And I said this when I interviewed Gardner Minshew in the corner at the Senior Bowl because nobody was going up to him because, well, when you had Daniel Jones and company, nobody cared about Gardner Minshew. And I interviewed him and I said on the show at the time, this is the old show, I said, I'm not sure where he's getting drafted, but I think he's going to be okay in the league because this guy knows exactly who he is. And, like, that's the thing with Gardner Minshew. I felt like he was so embraced here in Jacksonville because he was a unicorn, something you never really saw before. Yeah. And, like, not saying you can really relate to him at all, but it's just like, man, like, that's our unicorn. Like, that's our special dude. And Jacksonville embraced him because of that. Now, with Gardner Minshew, and you can say whatever you want about him, like, that's who he is. Like, we talked to his father many times. Like, he wasn't putting on some kind of facade. He wasn't trying to act a certain way. Like, Minshew, like, you know, whether it's a jock strap, whether it's going fishing in the ocean and jumping in and trying to get the fish, whatever, going on the RV, whatever the case, like, that's who he is. With Blake Bortles, I think he was so embraced because that's who he is, number one, but it's almost like anybody in town, if you played quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, you'd probably act the same way that Blake Bortles did. And he's so relatable. And that's why I think he's embraced. Like, Minshew was the guy where it's like, dude, this guy is like a folk hero because he's so out there. He's so different. And we love him for it. And Blake Bortles is loved because it's like, man, you know, if I played quarterback for the Jaguars, I'd be doing the same things. I'd be saying the same things in press conferences. I'd be going to the beach bars. I'd be on Barstool. Like, he's essentially, I'm living vicariously through Blake Bortles because that's what I would do. And that's why I think Blake Bortles will always be celebrated because he is like the everyday guy in Jacksonville.
That's really well said. It's really cool. Like, it's just neat to see it up close. And it's also another reminder, by the way, especially talking to Brandon Linder, how much these guys just love coming back to Jacksonville. They love living here.
Yeah.
They're another example. They just absolutely love being here in Jacksonville, which we all do too, which is kind of cool. But I just thought it was really wild. It was a weird feeling for me, like Friday afternoon after I saw him, and I was just like, I think that was just the best part of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I really thought it was the best part of the week, seeing Blake and just seeing the people talk to him and reaction around him. It was really cool. So shout out to Bortles and Brandon Linder and all the guys and everybody else that was out there. By the way, star-studded week here in Jacksonville at the Players Championship. All right, let's take a time out here. I think we're getting late. Yeah, noon hour ahead. We have Players coverage on CBS 47 at noon. Don't flip over. Just watch both. You can do that. And, hey, it was really cool to do this. Carried the Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network this weekend. First time we've ever done that. And, we appreciate you listening to me talk about this network and what we're building here. But this is kind of part of it. It's not just the Brent Austen Show. It's also events like this that we can highlight and promote. And the Bob Hayes Invitational is one of the best in the country now for high school track meets, track and field kids. And it was a good day over there at UNF. We will replay that at some point coming up over the next couple weeks, multiple times here on the network. So stay tuned on the calendar for that. We'll be right back. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness,
The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnicht. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnicht. GMC. We are professional grade. Action Sports Jacks is the biggest brand in Jacksonville, and we're excited to add another partnership for this team's biggest season yet. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is now the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks for their 15th season.
The Jacksonville Sharks are your champions.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team.
Instant in the dying moments.
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3, don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
How many did we end up with? We ended up with one big ball in the water.
I love the graphic.
That was spawned this morning. Rory McIlroy wins 9 water balls, 39 this week. We did something on the show last night. There were like 236 balls in the water across the course. And we were really trying to think, like, okay, where else were people putting the ball in the water? 16 maybe a little bit. 4, 13, you can get it in the water. That's a pretty bad shot.
Couple people, maybe 18.
12, if they tried to drive it. 18, you're right. Yeah, you can on the tee. That would just seem like a huge number. 236, I think it was the overall number. So, but the one thing about it is you get the early days, Thursday, Friday, and we had some rounds in like the 80s, 82, 85. That's big. Those are big numbers, which means those people were playing pretty bad, and they dumped it in a couple of times. You just reminded me in that last segment, too. I totally forgot about that. Like, that was crazy. That Minshew was sitting there at the Senior Bowl, basically nobody talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
When you got him.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember exactly in that room where we did the interview. Like,
yeah.
And that was the first time we had gone. It was right at the start of the show. We were literally a month into the show, and we were on the road. Remember the rain coming back from that, too?
Woo. Oh, I remember running with Marcel, praying to somebody.
I mean, the rain coming back from Alabama that year was, I mean, I drove through, I think it had to be 3 hours of just
torrential
blitzing rain. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. It was quite a drive. But yeah, I couldn't get Minshew. Can you imagine Minshew just standing in a room? Like standing in this room filled with media people and football people. This was like in a convention center.
Yep.
So it's a big ballroom. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
And it's got people and people and people and people. And he's standing in.
So
really, I mean, there might have been another person.
There was podiums. So there was like 4 or 5 podiums.
There were. For the bigger name guys.
For the bigger name guys. I forgot, like, you had Daniel Jones was there, I believe.
He was, yeah. That
Kyler?
I don't think Kyler would have been at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. I think there was a guy from Mizzou. I can't remember. Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock.
You're right. I think it was
Drew Lock was there. I can't remember. You have to look up the draft class, Hamby. But anyways, and then in the corner, and the only reason why I knew about Minshew was because I remember watching College Game Day, and they did this story about him rocking like the crazy. He wore like a velour suit for like one of like the away games. Will Greer was there. Yep. And I remember watching that thing. I'm like, man, if he's at the Senior Bowl, like he seems like an interesting dude. I might just want to talk to him. So we go the interview. It's like Radio Row or whatever, and it's chaotic because you have the podiums and it's kind of like a free for all. So you just kind of go up to these players and say, "Hey, what's up? I'm with so and so. Let me interview you." And like off in the corner with nobody by him was Gardner Minshew. I'm just like, and by the way, he was like probably like my 5th guy I interviewed because once again, like he wasn't honestly on the top priority. But I'm like, well, this guy is like, he seems like a fun dude. Let me interview him. And it was a great interview. And and he was really cool and everything. But
go find it.
Yeah, we should bring it back up. But I just remember walking away from it thinking, like, man, especially at the quarterback position, where it's always a double standard, where it's always like you have to talk a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to present yourself a certain way to be the face of a franchise. And I left the conversation with him thinking, like, he doesn't fit in the mold of a guy who's like, inside the box. Like, he's just comfortable being him. And I'm not sure what that means at the quarterback position. But like I said, if he gets with the team, he might be something. And lo and behold.
It's just amazing. You know who else we talked to that time? That year? Do you remember?
Oh, the tall dude, Donald Parham.
Donald Parham.
Yeah, which would have looked great in Jacksonville.
Stetson, by the way.
Yeah, 6'8".
He was huge.
Yeah.
And he's still in the league.
Yeah. Yeah,
so he's been good. He's not been a Pro Bowler, but he's been.
When we interviewed Donald Parham, Brent had him stand in the middle of us, and then like we were asking questions side to side. And by the way, that was like, I'm looking up to this guy. I'm just like, man, I do not feel comfortable right now, Brent.
Yeah,
it's like I felt with Calais Campbell. It's just like there's some. Oh yeah, that's a good point.
5'11" Brent, 6'8" Donald Parham, and 6'6" Austen Lane.
Just a one camera shot.
That's funny, that trip. I can't even remember who else we interviewed, but I remember those 2 guys. I remember you interviewing.
Yeah. Well, I think I got Zach Bond. That was the Zach Bond year too, as well.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
He would have come out that long ago?
I think he was that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah, out of Wisconsin.
I have to go pull those out.
Wisconsin, yeah. Well, he's ended up being pretty.
He's obviously been very.
Just got paid.
He just got paid. Got paid handsomely too. Brent Martineau, along with Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, back in the saddle here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Happy St. Patrick's Day, spring break for a lot of folks as well in this area. So hope you're having a good middle of March. Players in the rear view, free agency in the rear view for the Jaguars. Draft is next on the horizon. The bracket challenge, we've got that. Look up Brent Austen Show on the ESPN bracket. We've got a link in the YouTube feed as well. Continue to share on social media. Shock Your Mock is coming out. One of the things we're going to talk about, we want to try to streamline so they all look alike. So we're kind of thinking maybe PFF, if you go to PFF and use that what would you even call this? Like engine, model, whatever? Simulator?
Yeah, draft simulator.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because there are a bunch of them.
Correct.
But it makes it easier if we we'll pretend to have a partnership with PFF.
There we go. Yeah. Cut the check, PFF.
Yeah. You're welcome, PFF.
Respond back to my DMs. Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure though PFF has the lock on the rounds unless you're a member. You can only do a certain amount of rounds on PFF.
Oh, really?
Really?
I'm almost positive.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, that wasn't the case last year. It's a new thing? Because last year we had PFF.
All right, let me see.
Well, we'll check it out.
Okay.
We'll have more details in the next day or so.
Let us have a meeting.
We're having a meeting after the show about it, so we'll figure it out. But we'll really start to go over Shock Your Mocks next week sometime. Mm-hmm. But we'll give a good 4, 5, 6 days, whatever it is, a week to get in and have some fun with Shock Your Mock all the way up to the draft. And obviously that's the next big focal point for the Jacksonville Jaguars owners meetings there at the end of the month as well. So yeah, Glenn's saying the same thing. Thinks PFF costs now. So we'll find the one that doesn't cost. We're not doing that.
Yeah, we're not.
We're definitely not doing that. So we'll make it easy. But our hope is to streamline it to one place so they all look alike, because it's easier to do the things that we're trying to do with it, if that makes sense. So we'll have some more information in the next couple of days. Hopefully you participate in Shock Your Mock. I have not even really, I'll be honest with you, I haven't really thought too much about the draft other than number 5 pick.
Sure.
So I haven't played with this a lot. And I know a lot of other people have. They're already in that mode. But I feel like we're getting to draft season later than maybe we ever have.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's just because of everything with the Jags the last 2 months.
Oh, free agency.
That have transpired. But free agency, new regime, everything else. Mm-hmm. So we got some catching up to do, but we got plenty of time to do it as the draft is in Green Bay this year in late April. And, of course, we'll have full coverage of that with our Action Sports Jacks platforms.
Are you going to the draft run, or you haven't decided yet?
I don't know. We have a little bit of a – like Weber's probably out. That's when he's having his baby.
Okay.
So I got an idea. I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
Cool. More in the post-game meeting.
Cool.
Yeah, this is going to be a good post-game meeting.
It's going to be a great meeting.
Listen, you have been in the 904 for literally 2 days this year.
Yeah, for real. I know. This all feels different to me again, man. It's weird being back in the studio.
We walked in at the same time. I was like, dang, I thought you were going to call and ask for directions.
Even had the key card ready, man. Like, I remember the key card.
You actually had the key card. That's
I remember
impressive.
the key card, yep.
Hey, big stories today around the league. Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase, huge deals.
Yeah.
Derek Stingley, huge deal in Houston. And obviously he's turned out, what's funny about Stingley, he hasn't been as loud right off the jump as everybody said he was really, really good. But I think he got off to an okay start, but it wasn't a loud start.
Well, the issue with him, too, is, number one, I feel like he's not a loud individual, like a flashy guy, but also, wasn't he in the same draft class as Sauce Gardner?
I think so.
So
yeah, because Sauce is up now.
So Sauce, obviously, the rookie year, got all the attention and love, and Stingley Jr. was just kind of an afterthought. And now you see it come around, especially after last season with what, Sauce kind of regressed a bunch, and now Stingley Jr. could be the toast of that draft class.
Yeah. Well, by the way, too, who is the best corner in your opinion in the league? Because you have those two guys. Now, Sauce, obviously, given what happened last year.
Yeah.
Patrick Surtain.
Yeah. I mean,
and then J.C. Horn just got paid more than Surtain and Ramsey. Is Ramsey still there for you?
He's
the best
9
corner?
years
in.
As the best corner. I mean, I would put Ramsey at number 1. Like, he's definitely top 5, but I would probably put Surtain over him. And I'll be honest with J.C. Horn, he's great. I don't watch a lot of Carolina Panthers football.
I know he's a good player.
Yeah.
But I was a little surprised by that contract. But that's keeping your own. I mean, to the credit of Carolina, right? They let Burns go. Mm-hmm. You got to keep guys that are really good. You haven't had a lot of good players. I mean, they have the same kind of topic of conversation we have in Jacksonville. So, you think about those. I'm trying to think relationship to good teams. So Stingley's really good, and they made the playoffs the last 2 years.
Cooper DeJean.
Denver, yeah, but DeJean.
Give him some time.
Are you kidding? It was
a joke. Yeah.
Okay.
Give him some time.
Philly fans would tell you he's a top corner.
Give him some time.
But Denver has Surtain, and they went to the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
If you look at J.C. Horn, Ramsey's won a Super Bowl, but obviously Miami hasn't. I'm not saying he hasn't helped them. He just hasn't helped them put over the top.
Last year, people would have said L'Jarius Sneed.
Sneed was really good, but he was on the older side, right? That was the thing on Sneed where Tennessee came and got him.
Same with Marlon Humphrey. Those two kind of
been good, yeah.
They would have been top 5 maybe a year or two ago, but are they now? Who knows?
Well, the other thing about, really, you go back to Kansas City, and the better guy is probably McDuffie.
Correct. Yeah.
So they made a smart move there. It seemed like Snead was the headline guy, but it's actually McDuffie, who's the young player they drafted and has turned into a really good player.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm asking here is, what's the
Surtain, by the way.
What's the correlation between being good and having a lockdown corner?
Oh, that's a good question.
And where does it fit in the Jags puzzle?
It's a great question because we talk about how teams now have 2 great wide receivers, right? But I still think it is a difference maker, Brent. Like, if you're talking about priority in terms of position, you know where I stand. Like, edge can be up there. I think wide receivers up there. I think in that category, and I get the game is won and lost in the trenches, but cornerbacks up there as well.
People are going to start to put Quinion Mitchell up there if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah. Listen, you saw what it did for the Eagles because you had an Eagles team 2 years ago that had a lot of great pieces that should have made a run. They had some injuries now, don't get it twisted, but their secondary was in shambles. And you address it with not 1, but 2 picks early on in Mitchell and DeJean, and now look at them. Look, they're, if not the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I think what's fascinating to me about the Philly situation is that they're so damn good. I wonder if it's a piece of the puzzle or if that guy's really good. It's just the right piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the point is, if Cooper DeJean or Quinion Mitchell goes to name a team and they don't have Philadelphia, and this isn't a criticism. This is how you team build. This is great.
Of course.
I think we might be asking the same thing about Tyson Campbell right now. Like Tyson Campbell as a lone guy in the secondary that's elite, or if you think can be elite, can he do it all himself? Like can he play the level you want him to play? But if you get everything else really good, now you watch the stock of Campbell go, like you watch the way Tyson plays when you figure out the other side, when you figure out the safeties, when your linebackers are playing well, when you figure out the interior. And I'm not saying you even have to be Philly good. I'm just telling you that piece of the puzzle, Tyson Campbell, you watch him elevate to maybe Pro Bowl level because he don't have to worry about everything else going his way. Much like we said a long time about like Foye-Oluokun. Foye plays his best when he don't have to worry about everybody else not playing their best.
No, for sure. But I think if you look at, like for instance, Cooper DeJean, slot guy, nickel corner, right? You can have a great defensive line in front of you, get after the quarterback. You can have a great, some safeties behind you. But at the end of the day, like playing nickel corner, that ball's coming out quickly, right? Like a great pass rush isn't going to always help you at nickel corner. And the fact I feel like Cooper DeJean was probably the best nickel corner as a rookie even in the NFL, I think it speaks volumes for how good he is already, but how good he can be in the future.
Yeah, it took him a little bit to get on the field even, too.
Yeah.
And certainly developed that way. All right. Hey, this lead's very nice. This was not planned, but great job by Daniel Griffiths and our That One Painter, Paint the Player. We're going to feature Tyson Campbell today. Check out thatonepainter.com/first-coast for all your painting needs, from Atlantic Beach to Middleburg to St. Johns County, San Marco, and Jack's Beach as well. They cover the entire area pretty much. 904-643-3025 and thatonepainter.com/first-coast. And there's a few reasons why you'd like to go with That One Painter, by the way. They love what they do. Passion is important. Stress-free and mess-free service, respectful in your time and communication, and you love that when you hire somebody. Plus, they've got value-based pricing. Check out thatonepainter.com/first-coast. Let's check out Tyson Campbell a little bit with Daniel Griffiths. He writes on actionsportsjacks.com each and every day, of course, and or just about every day. And his latest article is about Tyson Campbell. Here are the numbers. Now, it's a guy that just, I think his value just got a little bit better in many respects. Tyson is a guy that we've wondered, okay, is he a little bit overpaid?
Sure.
And now you're like, this is more like it. Here's what Daniel breaks down the last few years in man coverage and in zone coverage. And
quarterback rating, yeah.
Quarterback ratings are a little too high.
Yeah, those are high.
Quarterback. I thought that was like his rating. I'm like, I guess that's good out of what?
I was trying to digest the numbers. I was like, we got to get better.
Okay, so this is the quarterback rating when he's in man coverage compared when he's in zone coverage.
Yeah, you're giving up a 127 burger. That ain't stellar.
It's not ideal.
Neither figure is what Daniel says. Neither figure is as low as you'd like to see from a corner as highly paid as Campbell, making almost $20 million a year. The numbers show a stark contrast between his success in man and zone. So that man deal didn't help him out last year. There's a bunch of things going on with Campbell here that skew some of the numbers in my estimation. 1, help.
Yeah.
2, injuries. He has been in and out of the lineup. And to his credit, he has tried to play hurt. Sometimes come back too early from some of these injuries, and it has not helped him out. I don't think him not getting right a couple of different times, completely right during the last couple of years, trying to come back from that hammy. I think it was hammy both times.
Yeah.
It backfired on him a bit. And you give a guy credit for trying to do it, but it backfires, and I think some of the reason why these numbers have ballooned a bit.
Obviously, too, if you're talking about injuries, I mean, it's easier to play zone coverage than it is man, right? If you're running with somebody man-to-man coverage, it's probably going to put more strain on the hamstring as opposed to playing zone coverage where you're more responsible for a spot than actually taking somebody. But if you look at these numbers and you assume that, okay, well, maybe he is better in zone coverage, even though, we're always infatuated with, well, can he man somebody up? Like, that's kind of the mark of a true corner. Can you go one-on-one with a top wide receiver? If he is better in zone coverage, that's not necessarily a bad thing because – like I kind of broke down last week a little bit, I feel like the Jaguars, if everything goes according to plan in the draft, could run a lot more zone coverage and switching things up a little more as opposed to going man coverage.
A couple other notes here from Daniel's article. Campbell allowed just 2 touchdowns in coverage this past season, both coming against the Lions. He forced the second most tight window throws of cornerbacks in 2024. So there are some metrics that actually do showcase. Where are you at? I mean, you feel better today when a guy's getting $30 million. Now he knocks down to 11 or 12. I do think that's a real thing. I think the Jags probably feel better at that. But doesn't he feel like he's in a little bit of the Trevor Lawrence category where it's go time, right? I mean, need a big year out of number 3 and out of number 16 in 2025 with what they're getting paid, with where their potential is, with where the injuries have been. I kind of put them in a little bit of the same bucket going into this year.
Yeah, I mean, from where he was drafted, for what he's getting paid, and I get it, we just broke it down to start the show off, like, he's not even a top 10 highest paid cornerback anymore, but he's the top cornerback on this team, right? So he has to play accordingly. So I think, staying healthy is going to be the number one thing more than most importantly, obviously. But then obviously, whether it's going to be zone coverage or it's going to be man coverage, he's going to have to do his job. And this is a team that's coming in where, I always say this, like, whether it's defensive coordinator, whether it's Gladstone, whether, it's Liam Cohen, like, they didn't draft this dude, right? Like, they're paying him a lot, and obviously you can't cut everybody, but, like, I don't want to say Tyson Campbell's on thin ice or a short leash or anything, but I feel like this is kind of a make it or break it year for you, because who's to say, like, heaven forbid, knock on wood, you get hurt again, like, they can just be like, okay, well, this guy can't stay on the field, so we'll let him go. Like, they don't owe you anything. It's not like Trent Baalke where it's like, well, I invested in this guy, so I'm going to see him through. That's not how it works here with a new GM and staff. So he's almost in improvement mode now, too, where you got to remind people exactly why you were drafted, where you were drafted, and why you're making the money that you're making.
Yeah, I think you do. Listen, sooner or later, you got to do that, all right? And maybe some of these free agency moves will help him do it. Health will help him do it. If you look at Daniel Griffiths' article on ActionSportsJacks.com, 22, his numbers were 22, 23, 24. But 22 and then 23 and 24 are a different delineation. It was like an 80 passer rating in 22 and then over 100 in 23 and 24. Again, those are the injury seasons. Yeah. In 2022, he had 3 interceptions and 15 pass deflections. Well, since then, he's had 11 pass deflections and 1 interception. Some of that's availability, and some of that obviously is probably playing a little bit banged up. Trevor, you kind of say the same stuff, right? I mean, it's some of it's injury related. It's an incomplete grade because it hasn't been fully available to grade. And the thing that you like about both is that they're 25 years old.
Yeah.
There's still a lot to be decided. There's still a lot from these learning experiences to find your groove. They've been able to show top-end stuff. And if you go back to where Baalke signed Tyson Campbell, I remember him saying that. Something to the effect of, we've seen what he can do. And that was a similar reason to signing Trevor Lawrence. That is in there. Now you got to find it, tap into it on a more consistent basis to really elevate yourself as a player in the National Football League, week in, week out, year in, year out. That's what these guys are lacking, in part because of injuries, but 25 years old, to have a really good football player and have the potential to be that is why you hang on to a guy like this. And now you hope you get that in return. I mean, it's going to be I think it's a big year for Tyson because I think in a weird way he gets a little bit forgotten about, but he shouldn't be forgotten about. You're paying him $20 million a year. Like, that's a big deal. So they need a big year from him. They need a big year from Trevor. I'm sure as we get closer to the season, we'll get into that, like who needs the big year. There are some candidates. Devin Lloyd is going to be in that boat, right? So check it out a little bit more on Tyson Campbell, appropriately so, on a day where Derek Stingley gets paid, not just Tyson, a little bit down the list in terms of average per year corner, but you check it out on actionsportsjacks.com, all of Daniel's writings. Daniel Griffiths contributing here to the show. That is That One Painter First Coast, That One Painter Paint, the player instead of the play here in this offseason. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby. Let's take a time out, get one of our final breaks here of the show, and catch you up on some of the other things that are happening, including a thought on Tee Higgins, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase, and maybe Trey Hendrickson. It really has to do with the Cincinnati Bengals. It's coming up next.
It's one of the hot spots in the area.
Welcome you to String Sports Brewery out at the beach. Big crowd on hand tonight. The fans are here.
And now, the newest hot spot at the beach is open. String Sports Brewery in Jacks Beach has opened its doors with rave reviews.
We're going to be fans forever.
Cozy up to the bar. Grab a seat in the sports-themed restaurant, or grab a seat outside and feel that breeze coming off the beach as the weather warms. Just like the original location in Springfield, try the popular beer menu and come for lunch or dinner too, because the food is fantastic. He's got some exciting news heading into 2025 as well. Christian Kirk. It's where we hosted Jags Report Live in the football season, and the String Sports Brewery staff can't wait to host you. Hey, welcome back here to String Sports Brewery. And if you haven't checked out the new location in Jacks Beach, which many of you have, you got to do it. String Sports Brewery, now with 2 locations in Springfield, and now open in Jacks Beach on Penman Road.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers. And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
I'm ready to show my hand, ready to take a stand. Wait on a sign above, and I am ready, ready. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. The crown's for the tape. I got it. Iconic. I'm built to win. Back to back, I do it again. I'm iconic. I'm one of a kind. I'm iconic. I'm built to win. I'm one of a kind.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Where are we going here? Heads up!
This wasn't in the email.
We got, this is a heads up because we have to be alert to something that is completely flown under the radar.
Oh,
Okay.
what is that?
A Major League Baseball regular season game is tomorrow.
You know, I was kind of wondering
Whoa.
about that.
We can do our predictions here? Our picks?
Well, yeah, but I thought
I think we can save these for real opening day. This is the Tokyo series out in Japan.
Oh.
2 games only. Cubs, Dodgers. And then we got to wait another 10 days or so before the real thing kicks off.
Huh.
Yeah, it really was. So it's really like next week.
Yeah.
So who's playing here? Cubs and
Dodgers. Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see the camera behind the shortstop there? It looked like a video game that was floating around yesterday.
No.
So apparently some of the Japanese camera angles that are being used,
Okay.
like they said that wasn't a video game. Again, I didn't really I just kind of saw it. I was like, was that real? Is that like some different technology? Why do they have that? And we know it kind of looked pretty cool. I mean, it literally looked like you were in the pocket of the shortstop. And I don't know how they did it or if it's a normal thing over there is how they broadcast games. But if you see it, check it out. And just pretty wild. I mean, it literally looked like a video game.
Interesting.
That they were showing the replay with.
So obviously this is in Japan. And you know who the 2 starting pitchers are?
For opening day?
Cubs, Dodgers tomorrow.
No.
Shota Imanaga.
Yep.
Versus Yamamoto.
Oh, there you go.
They know exactly what they're doing.
They do know what they're doing.
Yep.
And Ohtani hit a home run, right? And the other day.
Oh, and then Sasaki's pitching the next day.
Oh, wow.
So the Dodgers are throwing both their Japanese guys in Japan. That'll be cool. That'll be cool.
So anyway, baseball season is on the horizon. I was thinking about that. So we'll get our picks in next week and then never pay them off.
We paid them off last year.
We did?
We definitely didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Well, with what?
Well, I mean, it's just in between us 3. We said who everybody picked at the end of the year. And
we
everything.
did?
Yeah. Well, that's how you pay it off. We just, okay, I thought there was like some kind of prize to win.
Well, this year.
Yeah.
Who won, by the way? Did we even have a winner?
Well, I think we do so many picks. Like, you almost need to have, like, points to it, right? Because you're not going to get all of them right. But whatever. I do remember we each had some wins, but we also had some mega losses.
Brent Reds. Yep.
Somebody had the Blue Jays.
Probably me.
That was me.
Oh, you? All right.
Well, no, I didn't. Maybe not. I can't. Yeah. I had the Blue Jays and the Phillies.
I think I had Braves, Orioles.
What's exciting about this baseball season?
I mean,
we're baseball guys. Like,
Yeah.
You like the Brewers. You love the Braves.
Yeah, I'm excited for my Brewers.
I'm actually a little bit excited. I have a little more reason to be excited about the Red Sox.
Yeah,
They
finally paid
brought
some
some
people.
guys in. It should be interesting to see from Bregman to others, like how they do with their pitching staff, all that stuff. But I can't tell you like I'm over the moon excited about the Red Sox or anything in baseball in particular. Like, is the return of Mike Trout interesting? Can he stay healthy the whole way?
That's true.
Like that might be one. I mean, the Dodgers have kind of dwarfed this thing into like, okay, is anybody going to beat the Dodgers? We won't know that until October.
Right.
So I'm just trying to figure out like what the Tampa Bay Rays stuff has been interesting, just given their stadium.
Orlando Dreamers.
Where are they playing? Do we know yet? Or
Well, they're playing at Steinbrenner,
I thought, okay.
but the big thing the last week is they're not going to build a stadium now.
Yeah. So, like, okay.
It sounds like they want to get. Sounds like they're trying to.
The mayor called on the owner to sell the team.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Mayor Deacon called on Chad Cotton to sell the team. Like, that's a big
crazy.
deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
You know, you
And
got to.
they're not alone, though. I think, remember we said last week, we heard some stuff like where it was Manfred and other people around the baseball that were trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know enough about the Rays owner to know if he's bad. But obviously there's some thought out there that he ain't helping. Could they be a team that moves? Do they eventually move? I don't know.
I'm excited to see some Yankees with the beards.
There you go. That's weird. Isn't that weird to say, though? Kind of baseball guy. Now, there's been a lot going on.
There's not a lot going on.
You know, but that's kind of weird. Like, are you excited about something? And there's not a whole lot right now.
I'm just hoping for a healthy season, Brent.
Yeah, you need a healthy season.
I'll see you there, Hamby, with that. Yeah, I'll take a healthy season as well. Christian, talking to you, sir. Christian Yelich.
Hey, we got, I want to quick shout out and hello to the Jacksonville Sharks as we partner up with them here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. We'll be showing home games here this season. They are in the middle of camp. We're going to be out there at practice, and we'll have a little bit more on this here from Coach and some players on Wednesday. And they go on the road to Massachusetts. To start the season on Friday. Then they get a week off, and their home openers on April 6th. So those home dates, obviously get out there to the arena and watch the Jack Sharks play. Go to jacksharks.com for that. But really excited about another partnership here on our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. We'll get to show these games, the home games, live here on the network, mostly on Saturdays. I think there's a Friday mixed in as well. So we'll have a lot more with the Jacksonville Sharks. You think you could go play for the Sharks still right now?
Oof, I don't know, man. I feel like any kind of sprinting might do these hamstrings.
There's football shape and then there's other shape, right?
Well, there's MMA shape and there's like football, like 7 seconds get off the line shape. I'm not sure. I don't know.
The steam wheelers.
You know,
just gonna ask that. Can I ask what are we looking at there with the Quad City steam wheelers? What is that?
What is it?
What is it? Because I'm not gonna lie, like it looks like someone's twerking a little bit. Looks like
that's not what my eyes.
Looks like Grimace is twerking.
That's not what my eyes had.
Okay,
looks like Grimace.
Where is Quad City?
Quad City's up in like that Iowa area.
What is it, Brent?
I don't know.
It's supposed to be like a bus, yeah, or like a
maybe. Yes, is that what it is? Like not a wave? It's not a wave, right?
I know what it is. I can't. I don't know how to describe it to you, but I'm finding a bigger picture.
Okay.
Oh, that helps us out.
Yeah.
Well, hold on now. Hold on.
The suspense is killing me.
Bet we could really have fun with the FF team.
Oh gosh.
The Barnstormers is a little aggressive. I mean, they used to just have
that was the old
the goggles on the helmet. Like that's all you need.
Barnstormers were
Blizzard. There we
what's
go.
his name? Steam.
Kurt
Warner.
Yeah.
Smoke steam wheelers.
I got it
that's
now.
like the top of the
I got it.
It's coming out
of the smokestack.
Yeah. Change it.
Yeah,
you know,
went from twerking to smokestack.
Yeah, change that a little bit. I mean, I
this
appreciate
far away,
it now.
you have no idea.
Well, even though
hard,
I'm not gonna lie, up close, Sammy, go back to up close. If you would have mentioned the smokestack, I wouldn't have saw it right away either. I still would have been wondering.
Yeah, I mean, I do see it. Yeah, you're right. If you didn't mention
it.
But the fire thing's a little cool right there, too. It's like a little faded in the background. So it's not bad when you blow it up.
Yeah.
But smaller, you're right.
Still don't know what FF is. I looked up, and I got nothing.
We'll figure it out. So, there's a lot more running and defense now in the arena game.
Ooh.
So it's
Just
a little
my
bit
style.
different. And it's not. Listen, they're still going to score some points, but we'll talk to Coach a little bit more about that on Wednesday and some fun stuff coming up with the Jacksonville Sharks. Hamby's Burner says John Huggins plays for the Jack Sharks. They practice like 6:30 to 9:30 in the morning over there at University Christian. And a lot of it, we were saying, a lot of them guys have jobs, like other jobs too, as they're playing. So get that time in practice. And we got a game week, though, for the Jacksonville Sharks.
I took Ronan, this is like months ago, but they had like the Jacksonville Sharks camp. So then I took him to the camp and everything, man. It was pretty. Oh yeah, and he got like, because like his Pop Warner play football they play is like, it's a little more like kind of just chilling. You're just having fun. You go to a Sharks camp, they're gonna get you in shape now. Like
really?
This is you got after a little bit. Ronan wasn't really accustomed to like, hey man, if you drop a ball, don't just walk, go get it. Pick it up.
That was a little eye-opening.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, more football talk. We've been mentioned a couple of times, right, that the Jamar Chase, Tee Higgins, huge signings to get both of them done. What a weird deal, but kind of cool also that they were able to sign those guys both in the same week and get that done
together.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just odd. But also, I think it says a lot. I think if I was in Cincinnati, I'd be like, wow, that's pretty cool. First, you got it done. Yeah. Kind of the nature of how you got it done, to me, shows a lot of like chemistry and synergy and other things that you could be like, that's neat that they didn't have ego in play to the point where they had to share the same, have their own day or all this stuff. Like, And listen, Higgins has to, he's a confident guy. He's obviously getting paid a lot of money, but he ain't getting paid Jamar Chase money. So he has to acknowledge that as well. Like,
Chase has also made Tee Higgins some money, I bet.
Probably. But I just think that's kind of cool.
Not even in the play. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're good. Yeah,
not even in the play, but I'm just talking about even like the social media stuff.
Pumping
Like, they better pay him. They better pay him.
Well,
just that little bit of pressure could have gotten, maybe expedited the deal. Maybe, I don't know. But
Burrow really did that.
Yeah,
right.
Well, and it's kind of an example where, not to say like you have to be like a nuisance or anything, but both Tee Higgins and Jamar Chase kind of voiced displeasure a little bit of not getting new contracts. I won't call it a distraction, but like, we talked about it, and now look at them. They both get new contracts. So I think it begs the question as well is if you're, going to be a high prized free agent, like, do you kind of bump your gums a little more to say, hey, you better pay me because if not, something bad's going to happen.
My overall takeaway here, and by the way, the word is they are working on Trey Hendrickson. They're going to try to find a way to get Hendrickson done as well, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the league. But my takeaway is really about Cincinnati. This is an organization that hasn't always done things right, has cheaped out on a lot of things over the years, according to most. That's what they would say. This is a huge pivot, at least from a perception standpoint, for people like us outside looking in, for the Cincinnati Bengals. We thought this could trend to, okay, you're going to sign Jamar Chase, and even to your point, they were having some rumblings and like, wait a minute, are they going to get this done? Is he on the trade block? To they're going to trade Tee Higgins, or they're going to let him walk, or then they franchise tag him. Nobody likes to be franchised once, forget about twice. Mm-hmm. So this could head down a bad road. And then you're ticking off Joe Burrow on top of it. Yeah. You're not doing what's best for him, even though he's a heavy investment. Now the Hendrickson stuff, okay, can you keep everybody? They might find a way to keep everybody happy. And this could be a huge pivot for their organization, in my opinion. Again, from a perception standpoint at the very least, but I think perception is reality here. I don't think anybody would have predicted 2 months ago, a month ago, that they would land both these guys on long-term deals and then maybe even throw Hendrickson on top of it into the mix, given what took place in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to say, like, and we'll see with Hendrickson, what becomes of that, because he's a very underrated player. I mean, he led the league in sacks, but we still call him
2 years in a row, basically.
Yeah, because nobody talks about him. It's all the Myles Garrett show, whatever the case may be. But I think it goes to show you, like, you think of Cincinnati and what their identity is and what they do, you think of, okay, it's Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, Joe Burrow. Like, yeah, their defense might have some players, but come on. It's Joe Burrow, that offense. It's Jamar Chase, and it is Tee Higgins. Well, Cincinnati solidified their identity and what they do and who they are. So you could sit here and say, is it worth spending that much money on literally, because you have Joe Burrow, so 3 players, quarterback and 2 wide receivers. You make arguments, but at the end of the day, they spent money on who they are. So you can't fault them for that.
Yeah.
You guys see how much of their cap is spent on those 3 guys?
I didn't. What's the percentage?
45%. And you throw Trey Hendrickson on there, that's a $30 million deal. That would get it up to about 60%. 60% of their total cap on 4 players.
Wow.
So that's like, obviously there's with everything, there's a give and take.
That's NBA like.
like, what in the world are they going to do?
Better draft, good.
Yeah, how much pressure is on their draft? Holy cow. They're going to have pennies to spend on everybody else on the whole team.
That's pretty wild. That's a lot of money. But I guess I give them credit. Like I said, my credit goes to them pivoting. You know, like you wouldn't have predicted this. And so you're trying to do something, trying to keep it together, trying to keep your identity, and also in a way changing your identity as an organization from being the cheap guys to the, hey, we're going to take care of this for the fans. Like, this gets fans jacked up. Does it help you win football games? We'll find out. I mean, it's going to help you win some, but does it help you win big? We'll find out. Because, to be honest with you, they were fine this year offensively. Now, obviously with these guys. Yeah. But does this prohibit you from doing things you need to do on defense? Because they missed the playoffs essentially because of their defense.
Yeah.
So they do have to fix that side of the ball in some way. Now, is that just because they had a defensive coordinator change? Will they do that through the draft? They better. They got to now draft pretty well. And then the other thing they have to be able to do is still be able to protect Joe Burrow, which they've battled with. They've tried like hell to do that. They just haven't been able to land a really good offensive line.
Let me ask you this. If they were to trade, hindsight now, if they would have traded Tee Higgins, like what would they have gotten for him, do you think? Like, would they have got a first-round pick?
No. I think,
so
what did Metcalf, what did they give up for Metcalf? Was second or third? Steelers.
I think it was a third.
Was it a third? I think it might have been a second. I think they gave up a second. So probably in that same category.
Okay, yeah.
I would think Higgins would have been
second-round pick and seventh for DK and a sixth.
Yeah, so.
And isn't it wild that we talked about the Bills traded for a first-round, like gave Minnesota a first-round pick for Stephon Diggs? Because then obviously Minnesota got Justin Jefferson because of it.
Now, here's what I would say. Here's what I think.
Crazy how
that is pretty wild, right? Because that's in about a 6-year span.
Yeah.
But I think what's changed is you had to sign Stephon Diggs to like a $17 million deal. Now you got to sign these guys to 30
to a DK Metcalf.
Well, so you're basically buying draft capital as well. Like if you're like, hey, take DK off our hands, we'll slide the value down to a second-round pick. Because we know it's going to cost you an extra $13-14 million a year than it did for a guy like Stephon Diggs. You know, so I think that's where, and I have no idea what that chart would look like, but I do think it's almost like buying the draft pick down. You're going to take on this? Okay, good. Now it won't cost you as much.
True.
From a compensation standpoint with us. And I think that's part of the game here is, do you want to pay? And obviously Seattle has decided we don't want to pay anybody. We don't want to pay Geno Smith. We don't want to pay DK Metcalf. And so we're going to reboot it instead.
Well, they got a cup, though.
Well, they did, but at $15 million instead of 30 something.
Yeah, for sure.
And listen, I agree with that happened over the weekend. We didn't really talk about it, the Cooper Kupp stuff. And it's like, that seems like a steep price. It really does. And it's a hard thing to wrestle with in your mind because Kupp is such a fantastic player in his time. But he is 32 years old, coming off a bunch of injuries. And $15 million sounds like a lot, but I also don't want to be talking out of both sides of my mouth, because I would say Christian Kirk, when you hit $16 million, which Houston brought him over, that's really average receiver money now.
Yeah.
I mean, Gabe Davis was $13 million. So like this is average receiver money. Again, we have to get that into our minds that $15 million for Cooper Kupp really probably isn't too bad. I just still think it's a steep price to pay at this stage of his probably production realm.
Yeah, but would you rather pay that much for Cooper Kupp or have Gabe Davis for whatever, $1 million less or $2 million less? I mean, I would rather have Cooper Kupp until Gabe Davis shows me something.
I just don't know if you're able to have that 1-to-1.
No, listen, I
think
get
it's a
it.
fair question, but it makes me think he's 25.
Yeah,
Gabe Davis is 25.
Sure. Listen, you're paying Cooper Kupp hoping that you can stay healthy the entire season and at least, I don't want to say copy because it's almost impossible to have a triple crown again, but like at least have some sort of resemblance of that one career season that you kind of put yourself on the map with.
Yeah, I actually think the better question there, because both you could have had, is do you rather have Kupp or Kirk? Because they're about the same price tag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it's a no-brainer. I'd rather have Kirk at this stage, at 28 years old.
And
given
how this Cup? Cup is 30?
He's 31. I think
31.
he'll be 32, though, in the season. And
like
now
injuries versus collarbone.
Yeah, a little bit of different injuries, age. And now, listen, Cup in his career, way better production, right? Obviously, bigger star. But they both missed about the similar amount of games in the last couple of years now. 18 over 3 seasons for Cup, 14 over 2 seasons for Kirk. The injuries are different.
Yeah.
The age is different, but the price tag is the same. Like, I would really, if the Jags had done this deal for Cup at $15 million, I feel like I would have come in here today and been very critical of that, where they wouldn't have paid Christian Kirk 16.
Yeah.
Because that's what it would have cost them in real money. It's like 16. Now the cap would have been 24, but it would have cost $16 million, I think it was this year for Kirk. So those are the things you wrestle with. I get. Listen, I think if I put a poll right there, I'm not even going to do it because I know how it's going to be answered. If I put a poll out right now, or if I put this out on social media, would you rather have Cooper Kupp or Gabe Davis?
You get crushed.
I know where that's going.
Yeah.
But I do think from an organizational point of view, for a couple $1 million less for a 25-year-old receiver versus a 30-plus-old receiver, who, by the way, Gabe's got big play capability. That's not Cooper Kupp. He's not big play guy either. He's tactician, possession guy. So I actually think a lot of GMs would be like, right now, I think I'll take Gabe Davis at $13 million.
Let me ask you this then. Would you rather take Christian Kirk or Chris Godwin?
I think...
Because Chris Godwin's, I think, going to be 30.
I feel like the upside in Godwin's pretty good.
But, okay, injuries, though, too.
Injuries, same type of thing.
Yeah.
Same conversation, a little years younger, but I think the upside on him is more than Kirk. I think we know who Kirk is as a receiver. And by the way, it's fine. He'll creep up here or there, but that's who he is. I think Godwin might have like 1,500 plus potential in him.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. To me, it's just wild that, and like it's not a perfect science, but I feel like when you get to be a certain age or you come off an injury and you're a certain age, especially at the running back or the wide receiver position, you can fall off like that.
Oh yeah.
Like I think of like DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Like DeAndre Hopkins.
AJ Green.
Yeah, but like DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee, like was that dude. He was that dude for a very long Tennessee. Well, obviously in Houston did his thing. Tennessee he does okay, but then he goes to Kansas City. But Kansas City, here comes the resurgence because you got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like they're going to get you the football, and he wasn't that guy. And like Odell Beckham Jr. And I get he came off with some pretty devastating knee injuries, so he's never the same again. But like when it falls off quickly. And yeah, I'm intrigued by Cooper Kupp because I want to see a full year healthy, what he can still do. But one could say, man, has he just finally fallen off?
Yeah, and I think that's what people feel like.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't blame a team for rolling the dice. He's motivated because he's hearing that. He's going to motivate a guy. He seems like that dude, too, that will get the most out of anything.
Yeah.
But
then
it's weird to just say that. But I just don't care. Here's the thing at the end of the day.
And by the way, still, Mike Evans is doing his thing in Tampa.
He still is doing it, but he hasn't been banged up.
Yeah, he was a little bit this past season,
but not significant injury,
I got
right?
You. Yeah.
I think what's wild about it here in Jacksonville right now, and some of this has to do with trust in the organization that just hasn't been there. Refresh, reset, all those things that we've talked about. I think some of this has to do with a little bit of Brian Thomas Jr., and it looks like he's going to be a stud. Although what I will always say is we still have to see more, but we saw a lot, right? It's easy to buy into. I don't get the sense, though, that people in general are mad about where the Jags are at wide receiver. I thought we would see a little more angst over it. They've got De'Ami Brown, Gabe Davis, and Brian Thomas Jr. right now, as it looks. I mean, I know you got Parker Washington and others, too, but like that's really what you've got. That's your trio of receivers.
Yep.
And you passed up on, or at least it looks like, from a free agency standpoint, you either didn't make a big enough play at a guy like Tee Higgins to trade, you didn't make a big enough play at a guy like DK Metcalf to trade for and pay, you didn't go get Cooper Kupp, big name, you couldn't get Chris Godwin, big name. But it doesn't feel like anybody in Jacksonville's like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird place to be.
No, you're not wrong, man.
Because those are big names that get you excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think people would have been excited to see just about any of them. But I think they also understand. And listen, Godwin, you couldn't do anything about it. Like New England tried to give him apparently like $20 million more bucks. He's like, I'm going back to Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
So some of these things you just can't control.
Yep.
And I'm not mad at any of it. Like I'm thinking the Jags are in a good situation here. I'm almost glad they didn't get Godwin, Metcalf, or Kupp. Now Higgins would have been fascinating.
Yeah. Yep. Because obviously with Trevor.
But I also think they sit at number 5 with the chance to go get the next Tee Higgins right now for a lot cheaper price and even a little bit younger. Not that Higgins is old, by the way. He's like a 25-year-old guy. So we'll see. Hey, don't forget to check out our friends at JaxPal, jaxpal.org, Jacksonville Police Athletic League, all the great things that they do as well. You can see that at jaxpal.org. Good to be partnered up with those guys here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network and the Brent Austen Show. So it's the Jacksonville Police Athletic League, all the after-school programs, how you can help with your time and maybe even your money a little bit, but different things they do for kids in the area. Just go to jaxpal.org. All right, Rory McIlroy wins the Players' Championship. Full coverage throughout the day with Action Sports Jacks. And we'll do it again tomorrow, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. here on the Brent Austen Show. Have a great day, everybody. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Kruzanovich's under-23 men's team.
Listen to the dying moments!
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season!
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Custom